street lights, and I think you could probably shoot a television show in here. A very bright place to play. The field this morning, when we came in about 7 o'clock, not yet prepared. There was an all-night crew here to switch from soccer to football, and they've done their job admirably here at the Dome. They, in fact, even repainted all the lines on the football field section. Let's go down to Sandy Miller. Sandy is located behind the Manson Trojan bench, which is just below our press box location here, probably about 100 feet up off the field. And Sandy, you have been down there, I know, visiting with players and with fans and with coaches just a little bit. What's the atmosphere like down there right now?
Well, the atmosphere down here is calm, cool, and collected. If I could take one of the Coach Joe Teague's son's word for it. He says, I asked him how he slept, and he says, fine. I said, how'd your dad sleep? He says, I guess he did just fine. I wasn't in there. So maybe what we don't know won't hurt us. But looking at the kids down here and judging the set of their body and their attitude as they came out on the field, it was just a game time. And it was player get ready and be on your toes. And this is the game, and we're going to play it.
Thank you, Sandy, and that is Sandy Miller talking with us down at the sideline. We'll switch next to our cohort in broadcasting this game, and the fellow who has broadcast for us before this year with the Brewster Bears and the Liberty Bell Mountain Lions and their playoff, and that is Brian Brostek. And again, Brian, a welcome to our broadcast crew today.
Thank you, Scott. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a lot of fun. We're inside. It's a lot warmer than it was at the Medical Lake, my last game.
Well, we were saying earlier that the only threat of dying of pneumonia was in the rain last night getting into the Dome. We might very well have survived the outdoor season just to get all wetted down on the way in, but certainly here a beautiful facility to play in. The head coach for the Crescent Loggers is Gary Couts, and we did have the opportunity to speak with him at some length about his football program and what he thinks of this Manson Trojan football team as well as the Mansfield-Cooley Heartline Rams. And when we return on our pregame show, we'll be talking with Coach Couts about those things, but that will be coming up when we return in 60 seconds. From the Tacoma Dome, Scott Brondage, our pregame show, and we are looking forward to a 10:30 kickoff. We might mention that Amy Lamar of Manson has been invited to sing the National Anthem to start today's festivities here at the Tacoma Dome, where we'll be broadcasting the first of 4 playoff football games in the semifinal round. As we mentioned, we talked with Coach Gary Couts of the Crescent Loggers about his football team and about what his opinions have been of the Manson and Mansfield-Cooley Heartline team. He was able to scout them in the regular season ball game, which the Mansfield-Cooley Heartline team won, and these were his impressions of the 2 ball clubs that he saw in that football game.
Gary, I know that you had at least one opportunity to scout both Mansfield-Cooley Heartline and Manson, and that was in the regular season game between them, which the Mansfield-Cooley Heartline team won. Give us a few impressions of those 2 ball clubs that you saw playing that night.
Both teams are very well coached. They're good teams. Cooley Heartline is probably a running team. We know that. Manson is basically a passing team, but can run both. Do well at both. So our kids realize that they're going to be in for a real tough ball game. A couple of well-coached teams, particularly Manson's team has got some good players there.
When you went home from that ball game and then a week later found out it will be Manson that you're playing, I know coaches like to play a little close to the vest, and I don't blame you for that at all, but can you tell us a few things that you went back and said, this I really want to work on after having looked at Manson?
Yeah, looking at Manson, you definitely have to shore up your pass defense. Ours hasn't been the best. But we can do a few things to try to help us out that way.
What about looking at Manson's own defense? Do you look at that team and say, there are some elements here that we can use that will be effective against them?
Oh yeah, we're definitely in every team. There's always some weaknesses and strengths that you have to play towards. We've taken a long good look at their defenses. We think that we've come up with a few good ideas that we can exploit against them.
And again, that is the head coach for the Crescent Loggers, and that is Gary Couts talking about the Manson and Mansfield-Cooley Heartline ball clubs. We also talked to Coach Couts about some of his own football team's playoff experience. They were here at the Tacoma Dome last year against the Mansfield-Cooley Heartline Rams, suffered a loss there, and these were his comments about the way they did in the playoffs last year.
Only 3 seniors on the team that play a lot.
Any experience at all of playing indoors or on artificial turf?
Yeah, the kids have been in both the King Dome and Tacoma Dome last year. Played in there. And we have a big gymnasium here. We practice in there on wet days. You can almost play a football game in that. It's that big.
I'm going to ask you here to give a little advice to the Manson coaching staff. They have not had kids who've played either on turf or indoors. what would you tell them if you were going to say, here's how to prepare for us and play in those in that environment?
The big thing you got to look for in that type of environment is the water. You got to pack a lot of water in your body because you're going to get dehydrated real fast. That's a big problem we've had. You get in there, you run out of gas, and starting in the fourth quarter because the water completely gone out of your body. You're just dehydrated. That just saps the strength right out of you. So that's one thing, you got to drink a lot of Gatorade and things before the game.
Are there other elements of playing in a dome situation that make it difficult for high school players?
Yeah, just first-year teams that come in there and got to stand around with their at awe at the bigness and the number of people that are there. It takes them a while to get settled down. That's what happened to us last year. Some of the younger kids just can't handle the situation.
Tell us a little bit about your playoff experience last year at the Tacoma Dome, for instance.
Well, we had to play the Mansfield-Cooley Heartline. Well, it wasn't too bad in that one because we played a few days before in the King Dome, so most of the kids that we had had already played there 3 days before that. So didn't bother us that much. But when we played in the King Dome 3 days before the semifinals, and when most of our kids just stood around for the first half, it was unbelievable. We're really, it's really something to stand on the floor of one of those places and look up at all the seats, how big it is. Some kids are the first time playing there, just really sets them back.
Then you went on to take on Mansfield-Cooley Heartline in the Tacoma Dome in the semifinals. What kind of game did you have against them there?
We got down early, but we battled back. We're a second-half ball team. We battled back, tied them up, and then got the ball back again they turned it over, and we had the ball on the 4-yard line with faced with a 4th and 1 with, I think, 19 seconds left, and turned it over. We gave it right back to him with 19 seconds left. That was the ball game.
But that was last year. This year, the Crescent Ball Club comes into the football game here with a 10-0 record and ranked the #1 team in the state of Washington. And they will be taking on the Manson Trojans in a game scheduled to be getting underway in about a quarter of an hour from now. We have a lot more to talk about from the Tacoma Dome in our pregame show, and we will come back and do that in 60 seconds. And again, from the Tacoma Dome, Scott Brondage with our pregame show for you. The Manson Trojans have gone into the locker room for their final time and before this football game, and the Crescent Loggers still out here on the field. We might mention that the Crescent Loggers have a blue and gold color scheme, and now the Manson Trojan cheering begins to swell up as their cheering section is located directly beneath the press box, and the Trojans come out ready for playoffs 1986. But the Crescent Loggers, as we mentioned, wear the white jerseys today with the gold trim. Looks yellow to me, but they call it gold, I think, Brian, is officially the thing there.
They're still just as hard to see as the silver Manson numbers are on their away jerseys.
Very close. The Loggers also wearing the blue pants and the blue helmets. The Manson Trojans will be wearing their famous silver numbers, much more readable on blue, though. We don't have as good an excuse this time, I guess, with the silver pants, the blue helmets, and the blue jerseys. So Manson coach Tom Alexander was a fellow who this morning, when we talked to him on the sideline, was very excited about this football game, but also a fellow who has been expressing over the last several weeks a lot of appreciation to his ball club, to the school district in Manson, and to the community. And we'll come back and have some of Tom's comments on those issues for you when we return with more of our pregame show in 60 seconds. From the Tacoma Dome, once again, the Manson Trojans and the Loggers of Crescent getting set to play their football game. And as we mentioned, we have talked extensively with Coach Tom Alexander, of course, about this game and about the community of Manson that his football team is representing. And Tom was telling us that it is an experience to come here that his players will not forget, and expressing a good deal of appreciation to that Manson community that sends them here.
Tom, I think maybe the most important player for any successful football team is the community they represent. And certainly you've had great community support over the years, and this year in particular in Manson.
We sure have, Scott. I've been very excited and very fortunate to be here for 8 years and have the community support our program for 8 years. The turnouts of our games have been not as great this year as they have in the past, but hey, I'll tell you, the community does a lot of things for us. They're always here. They're always asking questions. They're always giving us things like send-off things, or they're always giving us banquets. They're always there. They're always, you see them downtown, they're always very supportive of the program. I know the community is very excited about our players going and having an opportunity to play in the semifinals. And, you know, I know their goals are the same as ours. This game is just a step up the ladder to success. And, you know, if it's a state championship, if it's a loss at the semifinals, whatever, they're very proud of this team, and we're very proud of being in Manson and representing our community, and we're trying to do it in our best possible way.
Someone asked me the other day what the odds were that Manson would play in the King Dome, and I took a look and I said probably 50-50. You're in playoff quality teams right now, and it seems to me that I still believe that you might have the very best football team in the state in VA football, but the real essence of why the program exists is to provide the kind of memories you're going to have just on Thanksgiving Day. It's kind of icing on the cake from here, isn't it?
It sure is, Scott. You know, it's enjoying the trip along the way. The destination isn't really what's the most important thing at this point. It's the learning things along the way. What got us there. The joy of being together for as long as we have this year. I mean, this is outstanding. I mean, in order to, we usually lately we've only gone to the first part of November, maybe the middle of November. And now all of a sudden we're at the end of November. It's kind of nice to have a couple of extra weeks, in fact 3 extra weeks so far with your ball team that you started way back in August. And I think the kids are going to remember this for the rest of their lives. Win or lose, I think this Thanksgiving game in the Tacoma Dome, it's an opportunity. Not too many teams, not too many people in the world have a chance to play this long and have a chance to play in a fine facility like Tacoma. And I think win or lose, the kids are really going to remember this.
That's Manson's head coach Tom Alexander saying that win or lose, the kids are really going to remember this football game. And a fellow that we remember who has been associated in the past with the Manson School District, Bunk Lang, a former superintendent at Manson. And down on the sidelines, I think we have Sandy Miller ready to talk with him. Sandy?
We sure do, Scott. And Bunk Lang, I asked him, how come he's here? And he says, well, it's just a short drive, 150 miles, and this is nothing we'd rather like to do on Thanksgiving Day than come see the folks. And they have. Bunk, how far is it swim? Is that where you're teaching now?
Port Angeles. And I'm not teaching anymore, Sandy. I'm retired.
Oh, well, I better start catching up. Bunk, 150 miles away, and then you go back for Thanksgiving. What's your feelings about Manson being in the Tacoma Dome?
Well, I think it's great. I've been following them in the paper right along, and when I saw that they were going to be here, we just couldn't pass this up.
Oh, super. We're glad to hear. There's a lot of folks. We've estimated between 300 and 400 down here in the stands, and they're still filing in, Scott.
Okay, thank you very much, Sandy, and thank you, too, to Bunk Lang for joining us. And it's always good to see old friends from days gone by coming back for a revisit for the Manson Trojan Ball Club. The pregame show that you're hearing today from the Tacoma Dome in this game prior to the Manson Trojans and the Crescent Loggers, brought to you in large part by the folks at Central Washington Bank, but by a lot of other people as well, and we certainly want to pass along our thanks to them. Without them, we would not be able to be here providing the recognition that these youngsters have so richly earned and deserved. We'll come back with more of our pregame show comments for you when we return in 60 seconds. From the Tacoma Dome once again, this is Scott Brondage. Sandy Miller down on the sideline has managed to catch Tom Alexander for just a couple of quick questions as they introduce the Trojans on the field. Sandy?
Thanks, Scott. Tom, are all the players healthy this morning?
Well, Dallas Clark had an injury last night in our pre-game practice on his finger, so he's got it taped up pretty good. So it's on his right hand and it's an index finger, so I'm not sure how serious it is, but it may hamper his play, it may not.
Is there anything different in the change of routine on a game that's played in the morning than in the evening?
Just trying to get the kids mentally ready to play ball. They're not used to playing in the morning, so that's basically all I can say about that.
Did everybody remember all the equipment?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Tom. Back to you, Scott.
And thank you, Sandy, and thanks, too, to Coach Tom Alexander for taking the time to chat with us. That's something we should also mention, I think, Brian. Tom Alexander, for years, has said, yes, come and talk with me at halftime, when most coaches would much prefer to get into the locker room, and has said yes to talking with him after games, win or lose, many times, and here says yes to talking with him before. That's a lot of cooperation.
It is, and Tom's very good about that, as are everyone associated with the Manson team. And the Tacoma Dome here has been very helpful as well. But last week, or the last playoff game, you nearly got swept away when you tried to talk to Tom in the locker room. So it can have its dangers as well.
Well, it certainly can, but we can also say that Coach Alexander and his group of folks have been very cooperative, very interesting to work with along the years, and certainly a very big moment for them as they enter this semifinal game. Right now they're going to start introducing the Crescent Ball Club from across the way, and we're going to take an opportunity here to collect our thoughts a bit as well and take another commercial break. We'll return from the Tacoma Dome with the 1986 playoffs in 60 seconds. crowd dynamics. The Crescent Loggers having several hundred people in the Tacoma Dome over across the way, and you might be able to hear them cheering maybe even a little louder than Manson, because the Manson Trojans are located just beneath us. And it may be that the sound will come better from across the way than just under us. Right now, the Manson Trojan squad being introduced. And right now, Brian Brostic, a moment for each one of these Trojans and for the Crescent Ball Club that they probably will long remember, the day they were introduced in a Dome Stadium.
I would think so, Scott. Also, the fact that the way they're introducing them, they get to line up right across from each other, see who they're going to play. Once Crescent's on the south side of the stadium, Manson right underneath us on the north side. It's going to be a good matchup all day.
And the Manson Trojans will be moving from our left to our right for all those of you who watch along the top of your radio when the football game gets underway. There are several other games to be played in this semifinal round today. There are also games to be played elsewhere in the state, over in the east side, where they have various sites there, be 8-man, 11-man, A semifinals, AA semifinals, and AAA semifinals. But all of those are, of course, geared to one goal, and that is to play one more football game for the season, and to play that football game at the Kingdom on the 6th of December. And right now, the Manson High School Band and Miss Amy Lamar singing our national anthem. Amy Lamar of Manson getting the honor of singing the national anthem prior to this playoff football game, the Trojans against the Loggers, 1986. We'll come back with more of our pregame show in 60 seconds. We could very well be starting the football game about 2 or 3 minutes early here. The Manson Trojans have taken the field, and the team from Crescent coming out to take the field as well. There must, of course, be one snafu in just about anything that anyone does in life, and today it has been an inability to get the starting lineups. The folks who provide the information to the folks in the press box didn't get down there to do that, so it's something that we'll have to try to sort of pick up for you as we go along. Of course, for the Manson Trojans, we are familiar with their starters, but there is a change in that Ryan Peterson will be kicking off for the Manson Trojans. Dallas Clark is in the football game. He is needed, they say, to get down there on defense and to do his thing on defense, and defense is something that Clark does very well, although he does not get pressed for that. In fact, Coach Tom Alexander, as they queue up to kick off the football, had this to say about Clark's defensive capabilities.
Dallas Clark set a school record this year with 180 tackles. He is my defense. It's centered around Dallas Clark, and he's had an outstanding season.
So Dallas Clark wanted here defensively to get downfield quickly and hopefully to make the tackle. The kick is away and the playoff game is underway. Taken by the Crescent Loggers down at about the 20-yard line out to the 30. The ball is free and Crescent comes up with it. Coach Tom Alexander now jumping up and down on the sideline saying, boy, we almost had it there. I did not see who made the initial hit, but certainly the goal at least, putting Ryan Peterson in to kick, did work. Dallas Clark was down there to make the tackle and knock the ball free, so it worked for the Trojans, but Crescent came up with it. And it will be the Loggers' ball, 1st and 10 to start the football game at their own 27-yard line. Split backs behind the quarterback. They turn, the pitch comes to the left side. Nice running robot across the 30 down to the 34-yard line.
Greg Halberg was the carrier there, Scott, for the Crescent Loggers. Once again, they have those numerals that are almost as bad as the Manson numerals, and they're hard to see, and we don't know who the starters are. We'll try to pick them up for you.
Joe Barnes, the quarterback again, has his ball club set at 2nd down and short 4 to go, or short 5 to go. This time they'll bring the ball to the right side, and the Trojan defense is there to stack it up very nicely as they get the ball out across the 35, but only barely at about the 35.5-yard line. Boy, this is fun to be able to see half-yard lines even.
Yeah, that is nice. Looks that the starting backfield is Gary McGarvey and Greg Hallberg, and the halfback positions, and the quarterback is number 32, Joe Barnes.
So Barnes, the quarterback, set to go again, has the ball to the left side. This time breaks a tackle out across the 34, and rather the 36, and out near the 40-yard line. First down yardage for Crescent. So Crescent will come up with the first down. And Mike Harris gets in on the tackle for the Manson Trojans. 1st and 10 for the Crescent Loggers. First series of downs here in the first period of this semifinal game. And they are at the 40-yard line their own. And again, they'll bring the play to the left side. Number 28, that's Gary McGarvey. And McGarvey is going to be stacked up by Mike Harris, Todd Jeffries, and others after a gain of perhaps a quarter of a yard. Still at the 40-yard line. And they gained about the length of the football there. So the Trojan defense stiffening here after giving up one first down. Still first period play. Barnes, the quarterback for the Loggers of Crescent. 10-0, ranked number 1 in the state. Barnes takes the handoff, makes the handoff again to McGarvey at the right side. McGarvey across the 43 down near the 45-yard line. Crescent getting off the snap very, very quickly here. And McGarvey is a running back who gets to the line very quickly, a 6-foot, 175-pound sophomore running back. Gary McGarvey for Crescent. 3rd down and 6 now. Phelps on the touchdown saving tackle at the 16-yard line.
Dan Richardson was the receiver for Crescent on that play, Scott.
Dan Richardson did the little flare pattern to the right side sideline. Barnes getting plenty of time, completes the pass, and it is 1st and 10 Crescent in Trojan territory at the 17-yard line of the Trojans. Well, we were expecting a high-scoring offensive game, and that's what it's been here for Crescent. They'll give the ball to McGarvey, trying the middle of that defensive line again, and manages to pick up 1 yard as they'll get down to the 16-yard line. Greg Hallberg, number 16, on the carry, make it 2nd down and 9 now, down at the 16-yard line. Crescent breaks the big 30-yard pass play to be threatening here in the first period. This time they give us to the second man through, and he'll pick up maybe a yard or 2. And I believe that was again Hallberg on the carry, but he is shy of the 10-yard line. So they'll go to a 3rd down situation here. We have 8:36 and counting to play in the first period of the football game. And Crescent has had the ball for these 3.5 minutes, a scoreless game. Right now they have it 3rd down and 6. Inside Trojan territory, Barnes wanting to throw, gets big pressure. He could be hauled down, escapes 2 tackles, gets away the pass to the safety valve. This could be it. Touchdown, Crescent. An incredible play from the quarterback, Joe Barnes, as he appeared to be in the grasp of a Manson Trojan defender. Broke away, was hit again, broke away again, manages to complete the pass to, I did not see the number, but whoever it was for Crescent did a great job of coming back, acting as the safety valve. And the Trojans, after a great pass rush, give up the touchdown anyway. My goodness.
A 14-yard touchdown pass that time, Scott, after a 3-minute and 46-yard drive by Crescent.
Crescent now lines up with a slot formation to the right side. Barnes wants to throw it in for the conversion. Can't find a receiver. Runs it up the middle. The 2-point conversion is good. Crescent jumps out to the lead. 8-0 here over the Manson Trojans at 8:14 to play in the first quarter. And we'll be back in 60 seconds. Joe Barnes, who threw the touchdown pass, is set to kick off now for the Crescent Loggers. 8:14 to play. First period, the Loggers in a lead, 8-0. Kick coming down to Jeffries at the 10-yard line. The 25 up the middle finds running room. The 30, the 35-yard line before he's hauled down. So a good run back from Todd Jeffries. And the Trojans will start out in good offensive field position. And Brian, we should mention, I think, that the Trojans have been accustomed to giving up the early touchdowns and coming back strong in a football game.
They have done that very, very well so far this season, Scott. The officials are taking the timeout now, but Frank Phelps, their quarterback, who is healthy and ready to play this week, certainly has to be something Tom Alexander's proud of.
He certainly is, and Frank in there now set to go to get his ball club going on their first play from scrimmage. On the first play, the pitch right side, Dallas Clark running room to the right, gets across the 40 down to the 46-yard line before he's hauled down. As we mentioned, Frank Phelps, the senior quarterback, a man that Coach Tom Alexander looks to for a lot of leadership on this club.
Goes out there, plays with injuries. He's got that plate in his ankle. He can play with it all season long. Doesn't want it out until football season's over. And just shows his guts and desire and excellent level of play that Frank Phelps is accustomed to.
So Frank Phelps will have to have that desire now as his ball club trails 8-0 on their second play from scrimmage. Backs on the I formation, their own 40-yard line. Handoff. Harris caught at the line of scrimmage and hauled down. Coming in on the tackle was number 79, and that is Larry Henderson, a 6'2", 225-pound junior. And Mike Harris is somewhere around 150, just unable to break away from him. He does pick up maybe a yard on the play, and the Trojans will go down to 3rd down and 5 at their own 41-yard line now. 7:05 to play, first period from the Tacoma Dome. The Manson Trojans against the Crescent Loggers. Power formation in the backfield is to the left side. Phelps, the quarterback, wants to throw the football. Has plenty of time looking downfield. Has Jeffries' pass intercepted, 45-yard line to the 30. Phelps might have the chance to save the touchdown. He cannot. Touchdown, Loggers.
Gary McGarvey scoring his second touchdown for the Crescent Loggers here in the first quarter.
McGarvey was there, and in all honesty, it is probably a pass that should not have been thrown. Frank Phelps was looking for Mr. Reliable and Todd Jeffries. Certainly not Todd's fault that the pass was intercepted, as McGarvey has some pretty good speed himself, stepped in between the ball and Jeffries, came up with it out at the 35 or so, and carries it in for the touchdown, and Crescent going up by 2 in the very early going of this football game. 6:45 to play in the first quarter. Crescent up now 14-0, and a big 2-point conversion attempt here for Crescent. Handoff will come to the middle. It will not be any good, and the Trojans can take some heart there at least, but they have fallen behind in the early going by a 14-0 score. 6:45 to play in the first quarter, and we'll be back in 60 seconds. The kick here from the Crescent Loggers, as our timeout took longer than we thought it would there. And Mike Harris takes the kickoff at about the 20, and he was nailed hard. There were about 3 Crescent Loggers right on him down at the 26-yard line, but Mike up and bouncing about again. So the Trojans down by a couple of touchdowns here at 14-0. Will go back in operation at their own 26-yard line. Jeffries split wide to the right side. Backs in the power formation to the left. Handoff Dallas Park, left side. Battles his way across the 27, down near the 28-yard line. Coach Alexander there electing to come out with the running play and with the running back who has done so much for them over the course of this football season, and that, of course, Dallas Clark. Certainly lots of football game left here, and when you're in the position of the Manson Trojans, the last thing you want to do at this point is get out of the game plan. But they must march the football, show that they can do something on offense, just to build their own confidence, one would think. Split backs behind Phelps, the quarterback, on 2nd down 7. Phelps wants to throw again. Has the time, throwing over the middle, complete out of the 35-yard line to Rusty McClellan. And Rusty will be a yard or 2 shy of the first down, but McClellan on a nice route. And on the tackle, Mr. Do Anything, Gary McGarvey for the Crescent Loggers. Chris Cordell coming into the football game now for the Trojans as Rusty McClellan, who has been playing with a hobbled ankle, is hobbling off and will try to walk it out a bit. Trojans breaking the huddle here on 5:18 to play. First period, a 3rd down and long 2 situation. Ball down near their own 35-yard line. Handoff, Harris right side, and they're all over him before he can get into the line of scrimmage at all. Number 79, Larry Henderson, at 225 pounds and 6'2", breaks through that Trojan line to drop Harris for a loss of a yard or 2. Put it at 4th down 5, their own 32-yard line. What will the Trojans do here? They will line up in punt formation. Chip Sackett, lining up in punt formation, will be at his own 18-yard line. Gets the kick away. It's a long kick, a little low. McGarvey will let it roll by him at the 35. A good Trojan roll there. McGarvey still letting it roll at the 20-yard line where it goes out of bounds there. So good kick from Chip Sackett as it probably went 35, 40 yards in the air and then got another good roll, and Crescent will have their hands on the football again. This time starting at their own 20-yard line, 1st down 10. The Loggers with a 14-0 lead over the Manson Trojans at 4:32 to play, first period action.
So far, Scott, the Crescent Logger defense has been most impressive. They are not in a 4-man line, as Crescent coach told us. They're running out of a 3-man line.
So Crescent, with Barnes the quarterback, split backs in behind him, everybody else in tight. This time will come to McGarvey at the right side, and Harris is there to stop him, along with Todd Jeffries and a couple of other Manson Trojans, including Tim Miller. So they lose, actually, about a yard and a half, almost a full 2 yards on the play. Call it 2nd down and 12 now for Crescent. The ball at about their own 18-yard line. Boy, it's fun to be able to see the yard markers. I can't get over it. Split backs behind Barnes, the quarterback for the Loggers. Wants the pitch this time to the right side. That's McGarvey again at the 20-yard line. Sackett is there. Hits him once, and then a couple of other guys, including Todd Jeffries, come over to haul him down after the gain of about 3 on the play. Also good defense there from the Manson Trojans. And Brian, it does not appear as though the Trojans' back has been broken by a 14-0 deficit.
No,
Hard.
I don't think so, Scott. They actually played fairly well in that first offensive series. They missed one run and then had to kick the ball away, but certainly defensively they haven't given up.
3:34 to play, first period. Crescent with the football. 3rd down and 8 to go for the first down at their own 22-yard line. Barnes this time wants to pitch left side, and it's going to be about a 1-yard gain again as they elected to come to the left side, and Henderson, I believe, gets the carry. Dallas Clark, Todd Jeffries over there to help haul him down, so the Trojans appear to have held on defense as they have a 4th and 8 situation now for Crescent. The ball's still at their 22-yard line. And it would appear that Crescent would be kicking it on occasion in 8-man football, even in this deep a territory. Teams will go for it on 4th down. But that's one of the fun things about 8-man football. It is the least predictable football that there is.
Joe Johnson's back to punt for the Crescent Loggers.
Todd Jeffries, the single deep man for the Trojans. And right now we have a penalty flag going down before the snap on the ball. It will be delay of game against the Crescent Loggers. So that's a break for the Manson Trojans as they will apparently get the football in pretty good field position here. Instead of standing at about his own 10 now, be standing back at about his own 5 or so, I would imagine, to kick the football. And Todd Jeffries, who's been the single deep man for the Trojans, instead of being at the 50, is likely to be up around the 40 or so. But again, the Trojans have done a good job of blocking punts this year, and we'll see if they put the return on or go for the block here. Jeffries at his own 40. Bad snap from center, and he's going to be tackled down at about the 10-yard line, make it the 7-yard line. 1st and goal, Manson Trojans. Bad snap from the center. It took 2 hops to get back to Johnson, the punter. He could not hang on to it. And I didn't see which Trojan it was that got in there to make the hit before he could really get a good handle on the football, but brought him down at the 8-yard line. 1st and goal, Manson Trojans. Anything can happen in 8-man football, and the Trojans get the big break here. Phelps, the quarterback. His team trailing by 14 points in the first quarter. 2:29 to play in the quarter. Frank Phelps up behind Andy Finley at the center position. 1st and goal, Trojans 8-yard line. Pitch right side. Dallas Clark turns the corner inside the 5 and down to the 3-yard line. A good run from Clark as Dallas Clark was hit down at about the 3-yard line or so. He is a punishing runner and carried a couple of guys with him. The ball out at the 3.5-yard line now. 2nd and goal, Manson Trojans. Coach Tom Alexander has sent in his signals. They use the hand signals from the sideline. Both coaches wearing their lucky suspenders, which were given to them for the football game. They'll need some here. Jeffries wide to the right side. 2nd and goal, Trojan. 3-yard line of the Loggers. Phelps, the quarterback, split backs behind him, turns, pitches left side. Clark dives inside the 2. Penalty flags all over the place. There was a penalty flag first in the backfield, so one would assume that it will go against the Manson Trojans. And it does. Illegal motion penalty against the Trojans. I did not see who committed it. That doesn't mean I disagree with the call. I just didn't see it.
Maybe some of the players in the backfield, Scott, may have moved a little early trying to get a jump on the ball that time.
So they're a tough break for the Trojans, but on the other hand, they didn't get the ball in anyway, and so they will be, instead of out at the 3, back out at the 8-yard line. 1 minute, 40 seconds to play first period, and it will be 2nd and goal for the Trojans. The ball at about the 8-yard line. Phelps, the quarterback, power formation right side. Phelps wants to throw to the end zone. He has McClellan open. It is not quite in. Complete at the 1-yard line, and a great job of defense by one of the Crescent Loggers. His number I can't read at this distance with the light yellow on the white. Rusty McClellan was wide open there at the 1-yard line, and the defender coming in very quickly to knock him out of bounds. So we have a 3rd end goal now from the 1-yard line for the Manson Trojans. In fact, the ball is just inside the 1. 2 wide receivers, right side this time. Phelps surges forward. Touchdown, Trojans. 1:25 to play in the first quarter. And the Manson Trojans hit the scoreboard with 6 on the sneak from Phelps from 1 yard out.
I think, Scott, you've got to give a lot of credit to the Manson defense blocking that punt. And the reason you didn't notice who blocked the punt is because they just swarmed over the punter as soon as he fumbled the ball.
In fact, it wasn't really a block. He had to pick the football up and kind of dash to his left, and the Trojans were there. Now they'll try the 2-point conversion attempt. Phelps from the shotgun wants to throw, drifting right side. Nobody's open. He converts it on his own, hitting the corner. Frank Phelps, the great clutch football player, puts up 2 more for the Trojans, and the margin is cut back down again at 14-8 now. The Manson Trojans trailing with 1:25 to play first quarter. We'll be back in 60 seconds. And it will be McGarvey taking the kickoff from the Manson Trojans after the Trojans score. McGarvey takes it at his own 25, breaks to the right side, gets good running room there. out across the 35, down at the 37-yard line, make it the 38-yard line, where the Crescent Loggers will be back in operation. We have seen two powerful offenses here. Crescent scoring on their first set of possessions, and then intercepting the pass, running it back for the touchdown for their 14 points. The Trojans, with Phelps punching it in on the two-point conversion attempt, have 8 points on the board. Right now, Barnes, the quarterback, wants to roll to the right side. The ball is free in the backfield, and it will be still free at the 30-yard line. A big scramble for it. I believe Crescent has come up with it, but they're still struggling for the football underneath. Down at the 26-yard line. We'll have to see how it unstacks. It is Crescent.
Number 23, Scott, for Crescent, came up with the ball. It's Jason Armstrong.
There is an AstroTurf bounce. The ball popping out of the hands on the first hit after the snap from center. Barnes wanted to make a pitch, was caught from behind as he spun back. The ball popped loose, and it bounces like a basketball out there on that springy AstroTurf. And lots of players diving for it, but Crescent comes up with it. However, they are second down and 22 now at their own 26-yard line. Barnes, the quarterback, split backs behind him, everybody else in tight. Trojans with a four-man front. Barnes dropping back, wants to throw the football, gets the pressure now as the man open right side at the 28-yard line. McGarvey to the 35, the 40, out to the 42 before he's hauled down. They get a big chunk of it back there.
That was Gary Hallberg, the receiver on that one, Scott, coming out of the backfield. Greg Hallberg, excuse me. They've used that swing pass successfully so far here in this football game.
14-8. The Manson Trojans and the Crescent Loggers. That's the end of the quarter. We'll take a break, and we'll be back in 60 seconds. First quarter score, 14-8. Crescent over the Manson Trojans. Crescent with the ball to start quarter number 2. They want to go the halfback pass from McGarvey. The ball is up for grabs. It falls incomplete at the 50-yard line. They went that time to Gary McGarvey. On the little pitch, he wanted to throw the football. Got great pressure from the Manson Trojans. Todd Jeffries, Chip Sackett, a couple of the guys who were in there. Jamie Stenoyan applying some pressure, too. Forced him to throw the ball early and then deflected it a bit, but no one could come up with it, so it falls incomplete. That'll put it 4th and 5 now for Crescent, 43-yard line. And that is go-for-it territory, oftentimes in 8-man football. They will line up, though, in punt formation. Quarterback Joe Barnes from his own 30-yard line in punt formation, 4th and 5. Barnes can't handle the snap. Will have to scramble, looking to throw it downfield. Man wide open, 50-yard line, first down, Crescent. The Trojans had the big opportunity there, but everybody going for the ball, and they left McGarvey wide open at the 45-yard line, took in the pass and goes for the first down. So a big break there as Crescent dodges a big bullet.
Certainly you can say that again, Scott. You can feel the momentum shifting to Manson, and there looked to be a play that could have broken the back on the spirit of the Crescent team, and they turned it around against Manson.
The Trojans were going back to put on a return, perhaps. Anyway, they left that midsection open, and they were able to haul it in. 1st and 10, Crescent, Trojan territory at the Trojan 43-yard line. Barnes, the quarterback, left side. Big running play from, I believe, McGarvey again, as he just powers people for about 5 yards. No, it was number 18. And
16, Greg Hallberg.
Greg Hallberg. Thank you, Brian.
Those numbers are tough to see from up there.
Yes, they are. But Hallberg, a great run there as he was hit at the line of scrimmage and piled people forward for 5 yards. So it's 2nd and 5 now. Crescent at the Trojan 38-yard line. They lead in the game, 14-8 in the second period. Barnes, this time will pitch left side. That's McGarvey to the 40-yard line. Turns the corner. First down and out of bounds inside the Trojan 35. McGarvey knew exactly where he was on the field there. He should have enough for the first down. Oh, they're going to mark it about a yard and a half short. I thought he had it. So it'll be 3rd down. And we'll call it 2 statistically at the 35-yard line of the Manson Trojans for Crescent.
So far, McGarvey's gained 17 yards on 7 carries. They're stopping him, but he seems to be a very dangerous runner.
Well, he is a guy that you plan for in terms of saying hold him down. You won't stop him. He's a great high school runner. McGarvey, left side. They stop him here. Stack him up. No gain. 35-yard line. Well, play-by-play man ain't always so brilliant, you see.
Well, I think maybe they heard you that time.
That's a possibility. Of course, the guy who calls in the signals defensively, Joe Teague for the Manson Trojans, the assistant coach, and Tom Alexander likes Joe a lot.
Spent a lot of the out-of-school, out-of-football time together, and he's the type of guy he's very relaxed and calm. He tries to relax me and calm me down.
So here, Crescent will go against Joe Teague's defense, and the defense works again. They will not get the first down as McGarvey takes the handoff, tries to get around the right side, and he is hit down at the 35, tried to squirt the ball forward. They will give him about half of the length of his arm that he put it out there. He was really down at the 35. They're going to give him an extra half a yard. However, it doesn't work because it's fourth down anyway, and the Manson Trojans hold on defense. So Coach Alexander's confidence in Coach Joe Teague certainly well-deserved there. The Trojans take over as they stop a powerful Crescent Ball Club. They have Jeffries wide right side, Phelps rolling to the left side, can't find anyone to get the ball to, tucks it in, and will take a loss of about a yard. Really, Frank Phelps doing a good job on that play, Brian, because he looked for a pitch man. No pitch man was there. There was just nothing open on the option, so he tucked his shoulder in and avoided the big loss by at least picking up a couple to get back to a half a yard loss or so.
You're right, Scott. He's seen the ball bounce around pretty freely in the hands of the Crest Logger quarterback, and it was a good job by Frank there to keep the ball.
So it'll be second down, call it 11 for the Manson Trojans. Split backs behind Phelps, the quarterback, operating at their own 39-yard line, trailing by 1 touchdown. Phelps wants to throw. Lots of time. Now gets some pressure. Rolling right side, looks downfield, back across the middle, throws it away for Rusty McClellan. Rusty had 3 guys behind him, so Frank Phelps very wisely turning and saying, Rusty, if you can get back to it, fine, but I'm not going to put it in that traffic. He was burned for a touchdown earlier and throws the ball away.
Very, very good choice there by Frank. Dan Richardson, who just hauled down Rusty McClellan on the 1-yard line when Manson scored on that 8-yard drive when they scored in the first quarter, is a dangerous defensive back, and Frank threw it well away from him.
9:16 to play, first half, a 14-8 Crescent lead here. The Trojans with the football, still 3rd and 10 at their 35-yard line, or 34-yard line. Phelps wants to throw again, gets a rush. Now we'll move to the left side of the field, still gets a rush. At his own 10, Frank Phelps gets a great block to keep it alive. Long downfield for anybody. Complete. Jeffries, first down. Rusty McClellan makes the catch at the 38-yard line with 3 defenders all over him. An incredible catch from Rusty McClellan. Frank Phelps in deep trouble all the way back inside his own 10-yard line. Launches the ball 60 yards in the air. Rusty McClellan comes down with it at the 38-yard line of the Loggers. First down, 10. Incredible catch.
A great catch, Scott. Frank Phelps made 3 turns on the field, snaking in an S-like formation. A fantastic block by Dallas Clark.
And the Trojans call timeout to resettle now. 9:01 to play. First half, 14-8 Crescent. We'll be back in just a moment. That was an absolutely incredible catch from Rusty McClellan. Frank Phelps in big, big trouble. As Brian Brosdick mentioned, makes 3 turns. Is all the way back inside his own 10-yard line. Launches the ball 10, 20, 30, 40. I lied, folks. It was only 50-some yards, not 60-some in the air.
Good 20 yards from behind the line of scrimmage, so it was a good 50.
It was a good long pass. And Rusty McClellan there in traffic. We were about ready to call an interception, to be honest with you. Went up among 3 defenders and came down with a football. So, when the dust is all settled here, the Trojans after the timeout ready to go again. First down, 10. They trail in the ball game 14-8, but they're in Crescent territory at the Crescent 38-yard line. High back this time behind Phelps, the quarterback for the Manson Trojans. Takes the snap, rolls left side, pitch. Dallas Clark trying to get outside. Caught from behind, hauled down after a gain of maybe a yard or so. And on the tackle was number 16, Chad Jocelyn, is the fellow that we had on the tackle. Or Gary Hallberg, excuse me. So a gain of about a yard. Second down, 9 now for the Trojans, operating 37-yard line of Crescent. Phelps wants the quick pass, right side. Todd Jeffries, can he turn the corner? No. Jeffries complete down at the 33-yard line, and he's going to be hit and dropped right there. Good defense on the part of Crescent. Their coach, Gary Kautz, has been very, very concerned about the Manson Trojan passing game. He says his pass defense has been his team's weakness so far this year. And while Jeffries picks up about a 5-yard completion there, everybody stayed home, and apparently Crescent is willing to give up the short pass so that Jeffries can't get free and use that blazing speed to burn you. Third down, 4 now, 32-yard line of Crescent. This time the Trojans will split McClellan out to the left side. Phelps wants to throw the football, looking for Rusty McClellan. Complete, 25-yard line. Rusty McClellan down to the 20. First down, Trojans. Frank Phelps goes to Rusty McClellan for the completion. And Dan Richardson, number 87, on the tackle for Crescent. Down at the 20-yard line. First down, 10. Oh, there was a flag on the play. I did not see the flag go down. And the Trojans are going to be called for holding. So a big break there for Crescent. And the Manson Trojans will have, instead of a first down, still at third down, as they were apparently guilty of the hold. Good sizable representation here in the Tacoma Dome from both of these schools. I think the Trojans have quite a bit the larger rooting section, but that one cost them 10 yards. So instead of 1st and 10 at the 20, it's going to be 3rd and 16 at the 44. There's a big difference.
There is, Scott. I can understand why the line is holding, because Frank Phelps is getting hit after every pass.
So Phelps on a big 3rd and 16 here as I backs in behind him. Frank Phelps wants to throw, getting pressure over the middle. Now launches the football for Jeffries. It is knocked away nicely by McGarvey, coming in from behind at the 35-yard line. A well-timed hit by number 28, Gary McGarvey, as he was one-on-one against Todd Jeffries. And McGarvey comes right over the top of him without committing the foul. That's pretty hard to do, but he did it. So it'll be 4th and 16 Trojans now. The ball at the 44-yard line of the Crescent Loggers, and one would again assume that a punt may happen here. But as all teams do, they do have the fake punt in there. Sackett, standing at his own 43, will punt the ball away. It is nearly blocked. Might in fact have been tipped just a little. A super high kick that comes down only to the 32-yard line, pops up into the air. Andy Finley catches it for the Trojans at the 34, and that is where Crescent will start. So we had maybe a 15-yard punt there, but again, I think that ball may have actually been partially deflected into the air by a Crescent Logger.
Well, Chip did a good job of getting that kick off at all, and he certainly got it up high in the air. Still, on that drive, the Crescent coach has got to be worried. Manson showed some of its ability to just break out and move the ball downfield.
Crescent Loggers in operation now. 1st down, 10 in their own territory. 35-yard line. Barnes, the quarterback. Give McGarvey has a little bit of a hole through the middle. Cracks out across the 37 and down near the 38-yard line before he's hauled down. Good surge that time from the Crescent Logger offensive line. So a pickup of 3 on the play. Rusty McClellan on the tackle, and as Coach Tom Alexander says, Rusty can be a tackler who really zings you.
Boy, can he hit. I know teams around in North Central Washington and all the teams we played, no Rusty McClellan on the field because he'll bury him. I mean, that kid will come in and lace you.
And Rusty McClellan on the tackle there. Right now, Crescent, though, 2nd down and 6 in their own territory. Barnes wants to throw, big pressure. Now rolls to the left side, is open way downfield, wide open. There to cover on the pass. The Manson Trojans asleep at the switch there as Dan Richardson was all alone at the Trojan 20-yard line. It was a simple matter, I think, of when the quarterback was under pressure. The Trojans all came back up thinking, yeah, they'll come back and help him. Richardson stayed down at the 20 and burned the Trojans on the long one there as the defense breaks down.
A 62-yard touchdown pass, Scott, and that's something that Manson has been susceptible with all year.
The Trojans on defense must learn to get downfield and not to come for the football. You've got to prevent the touchdown, not get the interception. And there, the Trojans allowed Richardson the easy touchdown. 20-8, Crescent now. And they'll go for the 2-point conversion here with Barnes. Rolling to his left side, has some running room there, but wants to throw it in. Can't find anyone. Now tucks it in, now runs it in. 2-point conversion is good. 22-8, the Crescent Loggers leading the Manson Trojans in second period play, but with lots of game left at 6:12 to play in the half. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Okay, go ahead. The Crescent Loggers on the easy touchdown pass go up 22-8 with 6:12 to play in the first half. Now, Crescent has done something that the Trojans like to do, and that is after a touchdown, call timeout, give your kids a little chance to rest and go and collect their thoughts, and that is what they have done here. What happened on the long touchdown play was this. The Trojan defense came in and managed to put a lot of pressure on the Crescent quarterback, Joe Barnes. But Barnes, when he sprung free, found all alone Dan Richardson at the 20-yard line of the Trojans. No one from the Trojans had bothered to pick up Richardson. In fact, it appeared to us from our vantage point as the Trojans had started to come back toward the play, maybe toward the football, expecting a shorter pass to result. I don't know what it was, but Richardson stayed there. No one stayed with him. Easy touchdown pass for Crescent. But as we mentioned, a lot of football game left here at 6:12 to play in the half.
Just to recap the scoring, for those of you who may have joined us late, Crescent scored first on a 14-yard pass from Barnes to McGarvey, then scored on a 47-yard interception return by McGarvey. Manson got its 1 touchdown with 1:25 to go in the first quarter, a 1-yard dive by Phelps. And, of course, the 62-yard pass makes it 22-8.
Barnes to kick off here, gets away a boomer, picked up by Harris. Harris fakes the handoff, tries the right side, 15-yard line, cuts around the 20 out to the 25, and Mike Mad Dog Harris out to the 27-yard line on a fine run back from the Manson Trojans. That kick was deep, taken down around the 5-yard line or so, and Mike Harris does a good job to get up speed and out to the 27-yard line, first down 10 Trojans. In 8-man football, the high-scoring games are the rule, not the exception. So there is a lot of time left in this football game. The Manson Trojans will take it over here. They're going to spot the ball now just at the 26-yard line. First and 10, Manson. Clark, the lone running back, in behind Phelps, the quarterback, dropping back to throw the football. Phelps looking for Jeffries, complete. First down, Trojans out at the 38-yard line. Todd Jeffries running for the sideline, a little flat pass. And Frank had to drill that football. Todd Jeffries was going almost full speed toward the sideline. Frank had to get it to him quickly, perfectly timed as he hauled in the pass and steps out of bounds. 5:45 to play in the first half. Trojans pick up the first down in the air, and the ball is spotted out at the 37-yard line, we'll call it. First and 10, Manson Trojans. Phelps again to throw, gets big pressure on the blitz. He evades it to the right side, running room down the sideline for Phelps to the 45-yard line. Cuts inside. He might have a first down again at midfield. Frank Phelps, an outstanding play as he got big pressure on the blitz, then found the running room up the sideline. First down, Trojans at midfield.
Very, very good job by Frank Phelps. We heard Tom Alexander talk about what a team leader he was earlier in the game, and he is certainly leading Manson back now, evading that heavy rush by Crescent.
So the Trojans refuse to buckle here. They trail 22-8, 5:12 to play, second period. Phelps, the quarterback, first and 10 midfield, power formation left side. Handoff, Clark, nice hole through the left side, picks up a 5-yard chunk down to the 45-yard line. Dallas Clark on the carry. Dallas injured a finger in the first playoff game a week and a half ago, re-injured it a couple of days ago, and then re-injured it at a workout held at PLU yesterday. So he has a very heavily taped left hand and has not had too much trouble hanging onto the football so far today anyway. Phelps, quick pass over the middle. Todd Jeffries, 35-yard line down to the 32 before he's held down. A great call from Coach Tom Alexander, as Alexander shows them the quick pass down the middle when they've been going to the sideline patterns, and the Trojans are on the march in the air. Coach Alexander had said, we will take what they give us. And what they have been giving is the short pass, and the Trojans have been taking it very effectively. First and 10, Trojans, 32-yard line of Crescent. They have McClellan wide to the left, high backs behind Phelps. Pitch, right side, Harris to the 30, inside the 30, 25-yard line. Nice run from Mike Harris around the right side to pick up another good chunky yardage.
I'm not sure that the Crescent defense, Scott, has been able to figure out the Manson offense on this particular drive. They've been mixing up some long, deep routes, throwing short and running powerfully with Dallas Clark and Mike Harris.
So Coach Tom Alexander, whose forte really this year, in my opinion, has been his ability to make adjustments in the course of a game, has found the soft spots in the defense here, and the Trojans are marching. They have second down and 3 at the 25-yard line of Crescent. Handoff will come, no, left side, looking for McClellan. Complete, 20-yard line, touchdown, Trojans, as Rusty McClellan pulls it out of the hands of a man who came for the interception, Gary Hallberg. Hallberg, I thought, had the interception, so did he. McClellan ripped it from his hands, scampers in, touchdown, Trojans, and what a game for Rusty McClellan, who is today the probably most severely injured Trojan on the field. He's got a bad set of wheels there, and has come up with 2 outstanding catches.
He's got 4 catches already in the game, Scott, for well over 70 yards.
I know what it is. His dad's taking film, and he knows it. That's what it is. 2-point conversion attempt here for the Trojans. Phelps on big trouble, big pressure, has Harris wide open, misses him to the left. Mike Harris is going to be upset, but the pass was thrown wide left as Phelps was under pressure, but still the Trojans get 6 more, 22-14. Crescent in the lead at 3:28 to play in the half. We'll take a break and be back in just a moment. That was a 60, so we're okay. The Trojans here to kick off, get the kick away down at about the 13-yard line. Lots of running room, evading a couple of tacklers as Hallberg, I believe, gets out across the 27 down near the 28-yard line. And the Trojans got downfield pretty quickly, but a couple of good blocks, one of them thrown by Hallberg. I thought he got the ball at the time. It was Dan Richardson who was on the carry there. And again, Rusty McClellan coming in for the tackle for the Manson Trojans.
Also, Mike Harris and Todd Jeffries fought through their blocks to help out Rusty on that tackle, Scott.
So the Crescent Loggers take over first and 10 in their own territory. It's at their 29-yard line. Lots of time in the half here, 3 minutes to play. They lead 22-14. I'm sure Crescent would like to go up one more. They will line up here in a shotgun-style formation. Barnes, the quarterback, wants to throw the football, has the man going long downfield. He's wide open again. Jeffries will try to catch Hallberg. He can't do it. Touchdown, Crescent. The Trojans burned again on the long pass as the Trojans came downfield, had two defenders there looking back for the football. And while they were looking for the football, Hallberg was burning downfield. He was not looking back. The Trojans were. He beats them by a step. Touchdown, Crescent. And that is something I know that Coach Alexander will talk about at halftime. Keep your eyes on the receiver. So the Trojans burn twice on the long touchdown pass, as they have traded touchdowns with the Loggers here, but only started trading after the Loggers went up by 2, and they're up by 2 again at 28-14 here. 2-point conversion attempt from Barnes. Split backs in behind him. Barnes wants to throw it in, has the time. It is knocked away, incomplete. Big defensive play there from Frank Phelps to keep this lead at a 14-point margin at 28-14. And now the Trojans will come back with still time to try to score as well. We'll see if they can when we return in just a moment. So the Crescent Loggers do it again. They burn the Trojan defense on the long pass as the Trojans were looking for the football, apparently. And as we mentioned, Richardson, or rather Hallberg, burning down the field, and Crescent comes back very strong here. As the Trojans had cut the lead to 22-14, it's now back at 28-14. And Crescent getting set to kick off here. But again, we have lots of time in the half. We've scored a lot of points already in this football game. 2:41 to play in the first half. And Brian, this is 8-man football at its best. Wide open and go for it.
2 touchdowns in 47 seconds, Scott, and that includes a kind of lengthy kickoff play.
The only way to play. Crescent gets the kick away here. Will come down to Jeffries at his own 5-yard line. Has trouble handling the football now. Picks it up. Will come across the 20-yard line. Evades one tackle, but can't evade the second one and is hit down at the 25. Really, Todd Jeffries doing a good job just to get up the field at all, as he had trouble handling the football, and gets a pretty good return on it out to the 25-yard line. The Trojans have got 75 yards to go and 2 minutes 34 seconds to do it.
They're going to say his knee landed at the 20, Scott, and marked the ball back to the Trojan 20 when he made that turn.
So the ball down at the 20-yard line. First and 10, Manson Trojan. Andy Finley, the center, coming up to hike the ball. It'll be Jeffries out wide to the right. Split backs behind Phelps, the quarterback. Takes the snap, drops back to throw the football. Big pressure from the blind side. He never saw it coming, and he's sacked at the 6-yard line. Trojan defense breaking down there as they have failed to pick up the blitz from the right side, and Frank Phelps never had a chance to even see it coming. They're going to mark it down at the 8, so a loss there of about 11 yards on the play. Make it 12 yards. It'll be second down and 22 for the Trojans at their own 8-yard line, and what do you call here?
That's the only way they've been able to get to Frank is from the blind side. He's done an excellent job evading that rush all afternoon.
So, second down long. Trojans deep in their own territory. Phelps dropping back into the end zone. Flare pattern left side. Dallas Clark, 10-yard line. 15. Breaks it on the sideline. Clark is going to go all the way perhaps. One man has a chance. He'll catch him. No, he cuts inside. Down to the 30. Inside the 30. Hold out at the 26-yard line. A great run from Dallas Clark as he took the pitch to the left side. Broke it down the sideline. One man had the angle on him. Dallas tried to cut inside again at the 35 and gets down to the 20, or rather make it the 32-yard line.
Gary Johnson finally was able to catch Dallas Clark as he cut back to the middle of the field. A 70-yard pass that time from Frank Phelps.
So, Phelps drops back into his own end zone. The little flare pattern that I think was probably designed to get them out of the deep trouble from the 8-yard line, and they blasted all the way into Crescent territory. Trojans first and 10 at the 32-yard line. We'll be back in just a moment. The Manson Trojans threatening here. My goodness, what a football game. They went down by 2 touchdowns to Crescent. They've been burned twice on the long pass, and yet they keep fighting back. And here they are, 1:26 to play first half. 28-14 they trail. Trojans first and 10, 32-yard line of Crescent. What a big boost it would be if they could put it in here. But really, Brian, they get a boost anyway, because the Manson Trojans have certainly shown that a 2-touchdown lead is not enough, and they come back with all that fire. They've got to feel fairly good at halftime.
Scott, this game is so explosive, I can't write down the scoring plays fast enough. Thank goodness Bonnie's here to keep them on our stat sheet. I can't write them out in the longhand fast enough.
And, of course, at halftime, we will be going down to Sandy Miller, who will be down on the sidelines. And, Sandy, it's kind of an up-and-down day down on those sidelines today, I'm sure. Well, apparently Sandy not with us right now. Doesn't look as though she can hear us. At any rate, first and 10, Trojans. And Phelps at the 32-yard line. Penalty flags go down before they can get the snap away. Who moved? Was it Manson? It was. Manson Trojans. Oh, no, they're going to go to Crescent. Thank you. My wife Bonnie says no, it was Crescent. The officials turned and signaled to us that it was Manson, but then changed his mind. I'll tell you, they have learned too. Listen to my wife. You're not going to get in trouble with her.
A rule all of us have learned up here in the press box.
So the call goes against Crescent. 1st and 5 now. Trojans, 22-yard line of Crescent. Phelps wants to throw. Has the man coming blindside again, but he doesn't get him this time. Complete. Rusty McClellan, 11-yard line, and he's hauled down there. Rusty McClellan hauled down at the 11. Down at the 11-yard line, and the Trojans will be first down again here. 1st and 10 from the 11, 1:18 to play. First half, Trojans trailing 28-14. What an incredible football game. Moments of brilliance, moments of big mistakes, ups and downs all over the place for both teams. Phelps has his club set, 1st and 10 at the 11-yard line, rolling to the left side, wants to throw it for the end zone. It is incomplete, off the fingertips of the intended receiver in the corner. A well-thrown pass. He had to make it difficult to catch as the receiver, 32, Rusty McClellan, just had it off his fingertips, but really, Rusty was covered, Brian, and Frank Phelps had to get it over his head beyond the coverage. Rusty just not able to get his fingertips on it, but it was a well-thrown pass that falls incomplete, so it's 2nd and 10 from the 11 for the Trojans.
The pass nearly in the right spot, the catch nearly made, nearly a touchdown.
It's a matter of inches when you're in that area. Phelps ready to move it again, wants to throw it again, this time looking for McClellan again, complete 1-yard line. Rusty McClellan comes up with a diving catch on a pass that was thrown just a little bit to the left. On the coverage was Greg Hallberg, and Rusty McClellan has had just an outstanding first half of play here in this football game. One of the things that Coach Tom Alexander has told us about Rusty is that he is the kind of fellow who is going to give you everything that he's got at just about all the time. And as he mentioned, Rusty is probably best noted for his defensive play, saying that he's a real stinging kind of tackler.
Yeah. I know teams around the North Central Washington and all the teams he played know Rusty McClellan's on the field because he'll bury you. I mean, that kid will come in and lace you.
And in this case, Rusty McClellan is bringing pass defenders out of their shoelaces, as he has really played an outstanding game on offense and been in on a lot of those tackles as well. The measurement here on the first down is just a little short, perhaps a half a yard or so. Matter of inches, says Sandy Miller, down on the sideline, about 3 inches shy of the first down. So the Trojans really have the best of both worlds here. They have a situation where they can get a first down in a matter of inches and a touchdown in a yard in inches, and they have 3rd down in inches right here. Gives you lots of opportunity. So, my call, my guess, Phelps on the keeper. They scored with it once from 1 yard out. Let's see what they do here. Trojans from 1 yard out. Phelps takes the snap, hands left side, touchdown, Trojans. Dallas Clark, big hole left side, and they've come back again, 28-20.
They controlled that ball for nearly 2 full minutes, Scott, to drive the length of the field, 80 yards. Bring them back within 8 points.
But in 29 seconds, you can recreate the earth in this kind of football game, because Crescent, you might recall, scored in one play on the Manson Trojans with a big 60-some-yard touchdown pass earlier. Trojans here will go for the 2-point conversion. Phelps, shotgun formation, can't handle the snap from center, picks it up, gets the ball launched. It is incomplete, as Frank Phelps had the bad snap from center, unable to handle it. I think it hit the turf maybe just in front of him. At any rate, we're at 29 seconds to play in the first half, and the Trojans have still come back. 28-20 is the score here. It is really incredible to look back at this first half of football. It opened up where the Crescent Ball Club scores first and then comes right back and scores again on a pass interception to go up with a 2-touchdown lead. And at that point, frankly, one was wondering in the press box if the Trojans were going to be able to keep their head in the football game and come back with it, but they certainly did, scoring themselves with 1:25 to play first quarter on a 1-yard Phelps run. Crescent comes right back to score on that 62-yard pass to Richardson. Manson comes right back to score, 25-yard pass to McClellan. And then Crescent back again, a 71-yard pass, and now the Trojans back again, and it's 28-20. What a football game. This one is lots and lots of fun.
And it's early in the morning. Can you imagine if these kids were playing at their normal game time?
My goodness, if they was awake, we'd all be in trouble here. We'd never be able to follow this thing. I'm glad they're playing it sleepy. Dan Richardson down at the 15-yard line to receive for Crescent. Clark to kick it off. Gets away a little bit short kick down at the 30-yard line. It's picked up there out to the 40-yard line to the 30-45, and on the carry, number 36, Jim Lee, will get the ball out to his own 45-yard line. That's plenty of time, folks. 22 seconds on the clock. Crescent has been able to burn the Trojans twice deep. Will they go for that, or will they go for the short one? They'll talk it over first, as the Crescent Loggers want to take a timeout. We'll take one as well, and be back in just a moment. So the Manson Trojans on the comeback trail here. They are down now by 8 at 28-20. The Crescent Loggers will have the football when play resumes. Crescent has shown that they can score big on you from 60 yards away and from 71 yards away. So certainly from their own 46, they're a threat here. One of the sponsors of today's Manson Trojan playoff football game, Beamer and Ruby Sutterfield from Bees Antiques. They have been sponsoring Trojan athletic events on Radio Lake Chelan for some years, and happy to do it again. Bees Antiques. First down, shotgun formation. Barnes standing at his own 35-yard line. Wants to go long again. Has Hallberg open. Sideline, out of bounds at the Trojan 39-yard line. But this time there was one Trojan with him and two deeper than he.
The first time all day that Barnes has thrown an incomplete pass. The Crescent team tried a halfback pass earlier that fell incomplete, but Barnes before that was 7 of 7 for over 200 yards. And 3 touchdowns.
Going there for the sideline. The Trojans might have been willing to give it to them, but throws it wide and out of bounds. Looking down at the sideline, and the Trojan ball club all up on their feet. And Joe Teague saying, I want to V in here on defense. Defensive blocking will be V'ing in. Shotgun formation for Barnes. Now gets big pressure from Tim Miller and Jamie Stenoyan, but launches the pass anyway. It is intercepted. No! Out of the hands of Rusty McClellan. Rusty McClellan at the 35-yard line, and I don't mean to be laughing at the young man's efforts at all, but when you consider, what is it now, 3 outstanding catches on offense, there had the ball coming into his waiting hands and couldn't hang on to it. Tough break for Rusty.
He's made so many outstanding catches, diving for the ball and catching them over his head. That one kind of surprised him by hitting him right in the hand.
That's where you come back and say, yeah, Coach, but that was too easy. Crescent takes a timeout. We'll take a quick one here as well. We'll be back in just a moment. 7 seconds to play here in the first half. The score, 28-20. The Crescent Loggers are in the lead. The winner here goes to the King Dome and plays for the state championship on the 6th of December. And the team that comes out on the bottom end of the score, I wouldn't call anyone in this game a loser, will have their season ended, of course. Crescent, with 7 seconds on the clock in the first half, must go 54 yards for the score. Barnes, shotgun formation. 3 men well deep for the Manson Trojans. Their defense back at their own 35-yard line. Barnes gets big pressure from Tim Miller again. Rolls right side, finds running room. Barnes to the 40, evades one tackler, evades another at the 30-yard line. Is going to be hauled down there at the 32. Jeffries on the tackle, but that will run out the clock, and that's exactly what the Trojans wanted as they faded well back to allow Barnes to run the football if he wanted to, but on that final play, when they forced him to make the run, they were able to force him also to run out the clock. On the sideline, we have Sandy Miller, who has Coach Tom Alexander. Sandy. Oh.
What kind of game are we
Well, we obviously don't have Sandy Miller on the sideline, and that is a most unfortunate occurrence, as this would be the one game all year long. And the signal just too bad to pick it up. I'm very, very sorry about that. Don't know what else to say. So at halftime, it is 28-20. The Manson Trojans trailing here, the Crescent Loggers. And we'll come back with our halftime report for you. Sandy Miller will be trying to scoot up here, I hope, to conduct her halftime interview. We'll take a quick break here and be back in 60 seconds. At halftime, the score is 28-20. The Crescent Loggers leading the Manson Trojans from the Tacoma Dome. We have seen one exciting football game. For all of you in the Radio Lake Chelan listening area who have not been able to come to this football game, too bad you're missing a great experience on this Thanksgiving Day 1986. We have seen just about anything you want in football. Great defense, great offense, outstanding plays, both sides of the line of scrimmage from two really outstanding football teams. And the Loggers went up by 2 touchdowns early in the ball game. Then the Trojans started trading with them and have cut the lead down now to 8 by a score of 28-20. And Brian Borostik, at halftime, here some of your comments perhaps on the play of that first half.
Well, it's dizzying, Scott. They keep scoring so incredibly fast. At one point, 47 seconds between touchdown passes, 2 long passes for Crescent. An impressive performance in the air, and we were told by the Crescent coach that they were mostly a running team. Manson has shown explosiveness themselves, holding the ball for almost the last 2 minutes of the game, driving 80 yards to bring it back within 8 points. It's exciting. Could be a 80-point game total.
It certainly could, and we've got a whole half of football yet to go. Once again, the score here, Crescent 28, the Trojans 20. We'll come back with more of our halftime show for you in 60 seconds.
They're not comfortable. Welcome back to the Tacoma Dome. This is an out-of-breath Sandy Miller. I went from the floor of the dome, which is 150, 200 feet down there, I don't know, and up the stairs and got lost once and came around and found a seat, and I found 2 gentlemen who said they would talk to us a little bit about Washington Interscholastic Athletic Association. Is that right? Is that correct, Mr. Gillies? This is Cliff Gillies of, let's see, your title, why don't you?
I'm the executive director of WIAA, and it's Washington Interscholastic Activities Association because we have more than simply athletics.
There is a lot more to school life than athletics.
Right,
and,
debate and music and those things are under our jurisdiction as well.
That's right. One of the things that you do handle, though, is this game. I seem to see a lot of green jackets around here with folks from your association. What's their job today?
Well, Sandy, they are part of the crew to operate and administer the West Side semifinal game.
Now,
and they have specific duties, right? We have 2 people on the floor, and they're called floor managers. George Nordy is our tournament manager, or the game day manager, and then, of course, we have locker room people and people who are assigned to teams to
What are they watching for?
They're watching for any kind of infractions or anything that is needed by the team.
I noticed one was positioned behind the Manson Trojan bench, and then there's another one on the other side. That is the one they contact if a coach needs any assistance.
That's correct. If the coach needs something, or we need to get some help to the coach or the bench, so those people are out running and they know exactly where to go to pick that stuff up.
Okay. Now, the rest of the year, you're planning for events such as this, for basketball tournaments, that type of thing. I seem to see you around a lot, and you are stationed here on the west side. Is that correct?
That's right. Our office is in Bellevue, and we prepare for 120 state events every year, believe that or not.
My goodness. This is everything from the debates, statewide honors. Well, let's see, there would be like Knowledge Bowl. Is that under your jurisdiction?
Knowledge Bowl is not under our jurisdiction, but we work with the Association of Washington School Principals to help them out on that. And we do some facilitating and organizing, but it's actually their event.
Okay, now when they have an event such as this in the King Dome, you have to pay so much for the use of the dome. Did I say King Dome? I meant Tacoma Dome. You have to pay for the usage of it, and then you get to split the take among all the schools that do participate?
Well, we're kind of unique among activities state associations. We have a revenue sharing plan. So all of the profits that come in from the 120 events and or losses that we operate, the money goes back at the end of the year based on a formula to the schools. So we're a zero-based organization, non-profit organization. Every year we start out with 0, and obviously an event like this subsidizes golf, for example, or cross-country, or some of the non-revenue producers.
So each school would then get some points for every event they participate in, then on that basis they are reimbursed?
Yes. For example, Manson comes over here. The formula is how many miles they travel and how many days the tournament is. This happens to be a one-day tournament and X number of miles, and for every participant that is involved in it, then you multiply the resulting points by whatever that might be.
It would count the coaches and players. Does it count stat keepers?
No, it does not.
Okay.
No, but it's equitable for all teams. It's the participants, that sort of thing. And it's equitable for all classifications.
Now,
a good example might be, if you look at the crowd now,
right?
Excellent crowd, but the B schools obviously do not have that many followers. Well, they will benefit from the crowd tonight of, say, Renton and Juanita, which might fill this place or come close to filling this place. Renton and Juanita will not get any more per player back in revenue sharing than will Manson.
Because they're so close.
And the Association of Member Schools obviously thinks that's the best approach, primarily because it is the smaller schools that need the more financial help. And it's been operating now for 10 years, and it proves very, very successful. I think it encourages the smaller schools to continue to operate programs that they might not be able to operate because of the expenses. Debate teams and golf teams or gymnastics teams or those non-revenue producing things that is an outgo for all student bodies
How do they pick a site for a playoff game? Now, obviously, this is the west side, and these are the semifinals. We're in the Tacoma Dome where it's nice and warm and dry. On the east side, I know there's a problem. I've read a couple articles in the newspaper with the site of the Ephrata Royal playoff.
Yes.
Now, it's in Ephrata's home field, and they are one of the participating teams. And there were two other sites that Moses Lake was ruled unavailable, but there was Eastmont. Why wasn't Eastmont chosen?
Well, first of all the sites are predetermined. There's a list for each classification of 3 to 5 sites. The week prior to, when they're playing, that determination is made, that if Royal City wins or if Royal wins and Ephrata wins, the game will be at Moses Lake. The backup field will be whatever field we have available. It hasn't been named for somebody else. Okay? In this particular instance, Moses Lake Field was not available for play, even though it had been on the list. So Ephrata was the second listed field.
Why not a nonpartisan field like Eastmont, who was also available?
Well, Eastmont was scheduled to be played on, had Eastmont won, and somebody else won, and so forth. So when you go out and announce those sites in advance, and our guidelines say once the sites are announced, you don't change them except by mutual agreement of the two schools. So, actually, if Ephrata and Royal City were to agree to play wherever and the site were available. One of our problems on the east side, obviously, is when a school finishes their season, they winterize their field. And so then to come back and say, that's one of the reasons why we have the predetermined sites. They know they are a potential site because they're on our list and they have granted permission to be on the list. They said they would accept a game or so forth. Anyway, that's the background behind all that.
Okay.
And we have a backup field for most of those teams now that if the weather changes so forth, they will go to the Kibbe Dome, and that's not a reversible decision. So.
Thank you, Cliff.
Okay,
We appreciate
Sandy.
your taking the time to come on up, and KOZI listeners at home, rest assured the Interscholastic Activities Association is in good hands.
Well, Sandy, I want you to know how much we appreciate. When I say we, it's all the schools in the state of Washington for the support that KOZI gives to schools in their area and the attention they give to high school kids.
We love doing it.
Yeah, but I know it's a task, and your efforts and your sprint up here from the field, 150 feet straight up and 300 yards in the
all
direction.
All in the name of good health. I'm going to be as fit as I wanted to pick up that fumble on the field out there. I was almost the ninth person out there on that field.
I know. That's one of the other reasons why those people are on the sidelines, Sandy. They probably would have stopped you from doing that.
Probably. That green jacket would have been there.
You.
Thank you, Cliff, very much. And we'll be back in 60 seconds. That was super. Thank you. Hate to put you on the hot spot there, but...
That's why we're here.
Okay, thank you.
Very calm in the locker room. Very businesslike, very confident down there. I ran down to the locker room.
Okay, go ahead.
At halftime, it is 28-20. Crescent Loggers in the lead over the Manson Trojans. We took the opportunity to do a little sprint down to the bottom of the dome and into the Trojan locker room. In that locker room, a lot of confidence, a very businesslike attitude. Coach Tom Alexander, who we were, because of technical difficulties, unable to talk to at halftime, was telling his team the number one objective is better pass defense. He wants the Manson Trojans to get better pass rushing in this second half and to apply even more pressure on the Loggers of Crescent. And so the Manson Trojans, very confident, as we mentioned at halftime, really believing that the football game can be theirs with a few adjustments, namely in getting a better pass rush. We'll come back with the opening kickoff of this second half of action when we return in 60 seconds. We'll have Harris available.
Okay, go ahead.
The Manson Trojans and the Crescent Loggers. The Manson Trojans trailing 28-20 at halftime. And Brian, what an outstanding first half of play for us. Maybe you can quickly run down all those scoring plays.
Got at 8:14 of the first quarter, Crescent scored on a 14-yard pass from Barnes to McGarvey. Their two-point conversion made it 8-0. Then at 6:45 to go in that first quarter, Crescent intercepted one of Frank Phelps' passes, his only interception of the game. The 47-yard return by McGarvey. The PAT was no good. That made it 14-0. Manson got their first score of the game with 1:25 to go in the first quarter. Frank Phelps dove over from 1 yard out, ran in the PAT to cut the lead to 14-8. In the second quarter, with 6:12 remaining, a 62-yard touchdown pass from Barnes to Richardson for Crescent gave them a 22-8 lead. Manson scored with 3:28 remaining, a 25-yard pass from Rusty McClellan from Frank Phelps. The extra point was no good. Crescent came back to score only 47 seconds later on a 71-yard pass. Hallberg calling it in from Barnes. And finally, our last score of the half, with 29 seconds left, Dallas Clark blasted over from 1 yard out to bring us up to our present score of 28-20. I didn't think I'd get through all that.
You did a good job, Coach. Tom Alexander on the sidelines, we were unable to get him on the air, told Sandy Miller that he was upset with the concentration level of his team, that he thought it broke down a couple of times, and he was going to go in and be a little tough on them. Well, we did a little sprint of our own down into the locker room, and Tom had obviously delivered his opening comments already at that point. He's down on one knee. Players gathered around him. There was a sense of calm, sense of confidence, and a sense that if we can stop this passing game, then the Kingdome appearance is ours. And we'll see if the Trojans can do it here, or if Crescent will come back and score some more. The Trojans will get the football first to open the second half play. And we thought everybody was ready to go. Now there's a bit of a delay. Some of the Trojans chatting with each other.
There is one telling statistic, Scott. Crescent had 258 yards of total offense, 211 of that coming through the air, including passes of 62, 71, and 36. If they stopped the long pass, except for one long 22-yard run at the end of the first half when Manson was in a prevent defense, they only allowed the Crescent team 36 yards rushing. They can shut down this team offensively.
Well, that is certainly something that Coach Tom Alexander believes and saw, and now Crescent kind of rehuddling here before they kick off. So it'll take a little while, but now we'll get ready to go again. The Trojans, by the way, down in the locker room did not look particularly exhausted. One thing all teams care about deeply is when they play indoors, the humidity in an indoor place will really burn you out, but they look to be in pretty good shape, so well-conditioned young men. Barnes to kick off for the Crescent Loggers for half number 2. Approaches the football, and we're underway in the second half of this playoff football game from the Tacoma Dome. Jeffries, 15-yard line to the 25, hole at the 30, across the 35, and down to the 39-yard line. Todd Jeffries, a fine run back for the Trojans. Well, the fireworks starts off right away in the third period. Todd Jeffries hauls in the ball at the 10 and cranks it on out to the 39-yard line. First and 10 Trojans.
One man to get past that time, Scott. I didn't catch the Crescent man's number. Todd Jeffries almost had a touchdown.
I believe it was the kicker, Joe Barnes. Phelps the quarterback. Set with one running back in behind him. Phelps wants to throw the football, looking down the middle. Jeffries, 50-yard line, complete. Just shy, probably, of the first down, where he's hauled down by Gary McGarvey, number 28. The Crescent Ball Club has been very concerned about their pass defense. They have been burned by the pass, as they have burned Manson today. And what they have done is to give the Trojans the 5 to 10, even 15-yard pass, but they have not allowed Todd Jeffries or Rusty McClellan very often to turn downfield, which is something the Trojans have done very well, run after the catch. But still, the short pass here gets them a second down and inches to go out near midfield. First down, Trojans. Clark up the middle all the way down to the 39-yard line of Crescent. Dallas Clark got a few inches plus 10, 11 yards. So the Trojans coming at them hard. They have not led in the football game, but they're threatening here early. Third period, 10:54 to play in this period. And they have the ball at the 39-yard line of the Crescent Ball Club. They move for 2. Quick first downs here. Jeffries, or rather Phelps, the quarterback, eye-backs behind him, pitches left side. Mike Harris to the 40. Harris turns the corner, 35 to the 30. Hauls a man for 8 more yards down to the 22-yard line. Mike Mad Dog Harris, he is not a big guy, but he is a guy that plays with heart. And there hauls the tackler an additional 8 yards, first down Trojans. And Coach Tom Alexander earlier had this to say about Mad Dog Harris.
The guy just spark plug. The guy just wants it so bad, he'll just go through the line. Good leader because he pumps kids up. Like I said, your nickname for him, Mad Dog, just fits Mike perfectly.
Harris picks up the big gainer there. Here the Trojans give Dallas Clark through the middle, 10-yard line, down inside the 10 at the 8. The Manson Trojans dominating on offense in the early going of the third period here as Dallas Clark gets the call. The Trojans have stung Crescent through the air and on the ground in this third period.
Whatever Coach Tom Alexander said at halftime seems to be working.
So they'll spot it finally at the 9-yard line. Trojans are there, first and goal. High backs behind Phelps, the quarterback. Turns to set up everything. Now back to the ball. Takes the snap. Wants to throw it in. Pass complete to McClellan. McClellan, touchdown, Trojans! Rusty McClellan takes the pass at the 2. Had a defender waiting for him. Looked to see if he could pitch it back to somebody. Nobody was there. Said, oh, heck, I'll take it in. Turns around, takes on the defender, steps him around him, and touchdown Trojans. What a game Rusty McClellan has had.
That's right, Scott. It looked for a second that he may be pitching it back to the trailing man, which I believe may have been Todd Jeffries. Instead, Todd stuck his head into Rusty a great block, and he got into the end zone.
So the Trojans are 2 points away from a tie game. A big 2-point conversion. Phelps under pressure, rolling right, throws it in. Tie game! Tie game, 28 apiece at 9:51 to play. Third period as Rusty McClellan hauls in the 2-point conversion attempt. And for the first time since the opening series for Crescent in quarter number 1, this game is tied. 28-all. Katie barred the door. There's a rumpus in the barn tonight.
Good gosh almighty.
This morning. 28-28. The Trojans tie it up as they came out to open the third period of play, marched the ball through the air on the ground. One of the more unusual touchdown plays you'll see was the little flare pass to the left side. McClellan's out there at the 2, a defender in at the end zone. Rusty said, I'll give it to somebody else. Turned, tried to make the pitch. Pitch man threw the block instead. Rusty turned around, stepped around. The one defender took it in for the touchdown. He has played an outstanding football game.
Scott, I'm getting goosebumps. We're 60 feet above the Manson rooters, and I can feel things shaking.
Actually, probably it may be that on our microphones you'll hear the Crescent crowd more, but that's just the acoustics of the area. We can feel literally this side of the Tacoma Dome shaking as the Trojans will come away very short, but it is bobbled by Crescent at the 22-yard line, picked up by McCarvey, tries the left side, gets to the 30, will be hit out of bounds at around the 33-yard line where Crescent will take over 1st and 10. So we'll see here what the Crescent Loggers intend to do in maybe some of their offensive halftime adjustments. As Brian mentioned earlier, they had a lot of yardage in that first half, but yardage coming on one pass in excess of 30 yards, another in excess of 60, another in excess of 70. Aside from the long pass, they have not done well offensively. Split backs here behind Barnes, the quarterback, 1st and 10, their own territory. The play will come up the middle, and that is number 16, Greg Hallberg, across the 40 and down near the 44-yard line. And Hallberg looked like he might be stopped at the line of scrimmage, but then broke free and picks up the good chunky yardage of 1st down. In fact, for the Crescent Loggers, Frank Phelps on the tackle, ball spotted at the Logger 44-yard line.
You've got to believe the Crescent coach said something to that team, too.
Barnes again with split backs behind him. Everybody in tight. They want the running game. They'll come this time to the right side. Hagel again, and he's going to be stopped right at about the 45-yard line. Dallas Clark was one of the guys, but there was someone else down on the bottom as well. Didn't pick up who it was. Hallberg picks it up for 1 yard. And it will be 2nd down and 9. As you can probably hear in the PA system, they're saying Mike Harris was the other guy in there on the tackle. What a delight this football game has been to call. One of the best high school football games in terms of excitement I've ever seen. Barnes, the quarterback, wants to throw the football, has the man open at the sideline, complete, 1st down, Crescent. Todd Jeffries there to knock him out of bounds. Jeffries and Phelps on the coverage, and it was number Jason Armstrong. Couldn't pick out the number 23. We have not seen Armstrong catch a pass before, but Armstrong found the seam, if you will, between the two defenders and picks up the 1st down, so Crescent comes right back marching the football against the Manson Trojans. This game is going to be decided by the breaks in this second half. Two great football teams. Man in motion now, right side. First time we've seen that from Crescent. Handoff comes up the middle, didn't fool the Trojans. Gain of 2, and that's it. So number 28, Gary McGarvey. That time they sent number 16, Greg Hallberg, in motion to the right side out of the I formation. And not much at all there when they finally bring the ball up the middle for a gain of 1.5 yards. Call it 2. Sackett and Stenoyan in on the tackle for the Manson Trojans. Loggers set to go on 2nd down long. Pitch right side. Hallberg to the 40-yard line. Turns the corner at the 35 and is tripped up there by the last man with a chance. And that was Mike Harris. Harris trips him up out at the 31, and they're going to say that he fell forward inside the 30 down to the 28, so the Loggers are on the march here. 8:09 to play, 3rd period, and we saw in that first half that 15 or 20 seconds is a whole football game to these two teams. They can score from anywhere. 28-28 tie. Barnes, the quarterback, 1st and 10 in Trojan territory at the 28-yard line. Barnes hands off, 2nd man through, left side of the line, down to the 25 before he's hauled down. Jamie Stenoyan, one of several Manson Trojans there on the tackle, as Hallberg gets it down to the 25, a pickup of about 3. The Trojans have done a great job of stopping Crescent here in this drive on the 1st down, but they've given up the 1st down on the 2nd down. Yeah, that makes sense. Barnes, the quarterback, 2nd down and 8. This time rolling to the left. Wants to throw the football. Big pressure. He's sacked. Todd Jeffries does the job. Back at the 35-yard line. Todd Jeffries coming in to sack Joe Barnes back at the 35-yard line. And Jeffries is a fellow who is well noted for offense, but here plays defense too. And this is what Coach Tom Alexander said about Todd before the game.
He does defense in a quiet way. All of a sudden, boom, they try to sweep, and there's Todd Jeffries. Try to screen tag. There's Todd Jeffries. He's a very intelligent young man. He's had an outstanding career here, man.
So, Todd Jeffries, as we mentioned, is the reputation of the offensive star, but there you heard Tom Alexander recognizing him defensively, and Todd gets the sack there. 3rd down and 15 now for Crescent at the 35-yard line of the Trojans. They're still a threat, of course. Barnes on the keeper, left side to the 30-yard line, is hit there, struggles forward, gets back near the original line of scrimmage at the 28 before he's hauled down. Good job from Joe Barnes as he went around the left side and picks up the 6 yards that they had lost on the last play, plus it will be 4th down and 10 now as Mike Harris was there on the tackle again. And you know, old Mad Dog Harris has been in on tackles quite a bit here in this 3rd quarter of play so far. Now a big play here, 4th down and 10 at the 28, and Crescent will go for it. 4th and 10, a tie game, 28 all. Barnes wants to throw, lots of time, no one open downfield. Now looking for Hallberg, it is knocked away, incomplete, the Trojans hold. Great defense, and that time the pass bomb did not work as they went for Hallberg, who was, in fact, momentarily open. The Trojans turning to look at the ball. Hallberg steps back a few steps. The Trojans picked it up, kept their eyes on him, went for him, and knocked the ball away.
Rusty McClellan just turned and patted Todd Jeffries on the head, saying nice job, and Frank Phelps is back there as well. Those three went up in a basketball formation, just knocked the ball away.
Important here, the teams have virtually traded touchdowns for almost a full 2 quarters of playing time. That time, the Trojans deny Crescent. 28, 6:30 to play, 3rd period. Phelps, the quarterback at his own 28. Pitches right side. Clark, 35, down near the 37-yard line. Maybe they'll mark him out of bounds before then. But as we mentioned, the Trojans have been trading touchdowns since going down by 2. They have now evened it up and are so far the only team to score in this young 3rd quarter at 6:20 to play in the quarter. They're going to give them that time a gain of 7. Make it 6. We'll call it 2nd down and 4 for the Trojans. The ball at their own 34-yard line. Phelps, the quarterback, only one running back in behind him. That's Clark. Gives to Clark. Big hole up the middle. 40-yard line plus 1st down. Trojans. He's still on his feet. 3 men to haul down Dallas Clark. The Trojans have had a habit of coming out flat in the 3rd quarter. Not this time. So Dallas Clark gets the 1st down for the Trojans. And in this tie game, it is still 28 all. The Trojans on a big defensive series, having given up some yardage to a Crescent march, managed to stop them and now pick up a 1st down on their own. 1st and 10, Trojans operating at their own 43-yard line. I-backs behind Phelps, the quarterback. Pitches right side. That'll be Harris. Has a good block throw and gets across the original line of scrimmage down to the 45-yard line, so a decent gain of about 3 yards there for Mike Harris. Mike Harris on the carry here has really had an active 3rd quarter. He's been in on just about every tackle when he's playing defense. Saw a penalty flag go there apparently. I didn't see the flag go down, but they're going to call tripping against the Manson Trojans. Now that I think about it, I don't think I've seen more than 1 or 2 flags thrown at all against Crescent, maybe 3 or 4 in the game against the Trojans. So it's been relatively penalty-free. But here the Trojans get one that could hurt them. Officials still discussing what the ball placement ought to be here and such. Now they'll bring it on back. And on tripping, it'll be a pretty good walk-off here. Instead of having the ball at the 43, the Trojans get the 15-yarder, and they're going to put it down at about the 39. Well, that penalty equates to a 13-yard penalty from the ball placement. The ball is out at the 43, and they've got it down near the 30. I don't know how you get a 13-yard penalty, but the Trojans get a break of a couple of yards there. Harris in motion right side. Penalty flag's down. Late flag on it. Pass complete left side. Dallas Clark, 35-yard line. Clark to the 40. Clark to the 45, the 50. Inside the 40 of Crescent. Clark inside the 35 will go all the way for the touchdown, but it will be called back. 2 penalty flags are down, and it will be a late flag that went down. They're going to call Harris for an illegal shift, and the Trojan fans are very upset. The reason is that Mike Harris took his position in the backfield, went down and came back up, went down again and moved, and only after they snapped the ball did they throw the flag. So they threw the flag very late, and a lot of the Trojan fans may not have seen the foul committed, but it was motion against the Trojans, the touchdown called back.
Still got a 70-yard touchdown pass, just showing how explosive these two teams can be. You can't tell which team has the momentum, and any situation like this, a long penalty, like a 15-yard penalty, can change the momentum from one team to the next.
That's true, and here the Trojans hit with 2 penalties. That will now make it, after that 13-yard penalty, I don't know where they got that one from, will now make it 1st and 25. Well, you can't say that either. They're still operating weird here. We're down at the 25-yard line is where the ball is, and the Trojans got to get it out to the 48. Make it the 47-yard line of Crescent. So it is first down and about 27 yards to go, or somewhere in there. Phelps on a shotgun formation, can't handle the ball. Fumbles it, recovered by the Loggers. Frank Phelps fumbles the ball from the shotgun formation. 1st and 10 Loggers at the Trojan 15-yard line, and there it goes the other way again. 3 big breaks in a row for Crescent. 2 costly penalties and a fumble snap. And they have it 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line of the Manson Trojans. So just as it appeared the Trojans would dominate, the Loggers are threatening here again. 1st and 10, Crescent Loggers. Barnes the quarterback. Split backs behind him. Turns, gives, right side. Stopped up after a gain of a couple of yards, perhaps. And on the carry, number 16, Greg Hallberg, I believe. At 4:56 to play in the third period, will pick up only a yard.
Derek Thompson was in to recover that fumble. That time, Scott, the ball hit Frank in the hands and scooted away from him and bounced right into Derek's hands.
What a series of breaks there for the Crescent Loggers. But now 2nd and 9 as the Trojans will try to step it on defense. Loggers at the Trojan 14-yard line. Pitch left side. Goes for Hallberg. Get at the 10. Gets away from one man inside the 10-yard line and down to the 6. Near first down yardage.
Good running that time. A determined runner, Gary Hallberg.
And I believe they will take an official's timeout here as one of the Crescent ball players will hobble off the field. I think he might have had a shoe come off, or might also have a Charlie horse there. I didn't pick up the number. I don't want to say who I think it was. I don't know what the injury is. 4:16 to play here in the third period. The Trojans dominating in the first 6 minutes of play of this third period, but hurt by 2 penalties, and now face, on defense, a 3rd and 2 situation from Crescent at the Trojan 6-yard line, or 3rd down and about a yard and a half, we should say. Barnes rolling right side as a man wide open in the end zone. There it is again. Touchdown, Crescent. The Crescent Loggers have absolutely destroyed the Trojan pass defense here today. And they do it again, 34-28, as they had Richardson wide open again in the end zone, this time out in the right corner as no one picked him up. But a penalty flag down goes against Manson. Touchdown stand. Well, when they go bad, they go bad. That's 4 penalties in a row against the Manson Trojans here. And of course, the penalty here didn't hurt them, but that's one flag I'm sure they would have liked to have seen go the other way and call back the touchdown.
You could sense the momentum swinging to Manson, then that 15-yard penalty, then the 5-yard penalty, then the fumble. The game has changed complexion in 1 4 or 5 play turnaround.
And it's changed that many times throughout the whole day. It's been a tremendous football game. This time they put a sort of a slot formation out to the right side on the conversion attempt and now come back and say, heck, let's huddle again.
You've watched more 8-man football, and if I seem a little incredulous at this, I am.
Well, these two teams are 2 outstanding offenses, and the Trojans really... Tim Miller on the tackle to prevent the 2-point conversion attempt, and the Trojans stay within 6 at 34-28. We'll be back in 60 seconds. My goodness, the Trojans have run into penalty problems here on the conversion attempt. We have a penalty called against them, will cost them 5 yards on the kickoff. That's 5 out of 6 plays. The Trojans have had flags thrown on them. That doesn't usually happen, obviously. 34-28, Crescent in the lead. 3:55 to play, third period. Crescent to kick off here. Kick will come down into the end zone. It'll be down there by Mike Harris very, very wisely, as Crescent got the opportunity to kick it off from midfield. And Harris says, we'll take it at the 20 to make sure we get some decent field position here. So the Trojans will start out 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. Remember now, they started this third period very dominant offensively. And in that second period, as it ended, they were very dominant when they had the ball on offense. Let's see if they can get it back up here after coming back to tie the game, only to fall down by 6 again. McClellan, wide receiver, left side. Phelps to throw the football. Has the time. Has the man open. Rusty McClellan. He's got it at the 28-yard line. Evades the tackle. No, he didn't evade the tackle. My goodness. Richardson had a great move put on him by Rusty McClellan. Rusty comes back to the 32-yard line, makes a good cut, turns around, and picks up an extra couple of yards. and is now going to be a little bit slow in getting up. Looks like Coach Tom Alexander down there rubbing the calf of the leg, and could be that Rusty got himself a Charlie horse there, something like that. We'll have to wait and see what it is. We'll have Sandy Miller going down near the sideline and let us know whenever we get official word. But certainly, Rusty McClellan, Brian, has played an outstanding football game for these Trojans today.
I believe he's already caught 8 passes for the Trojans, 1 touchdown, or excuse me, 2 touchdowns. And I think you're right about the Charlie horse would be my guess. Both coaches talked about how hot it gets in here, particularly down on the field. It's much, much warmer up here than any place we've ever broadcasted from this season.
And Rusty now will be getting up. Remember, he did have the gimpy ankle when he came into the ball game, and gets a big round of applause there from the Trojan crowd as he steps off to the sideline, is limping a little bit, but obviously does not have the major kind of injury here that's going to be having any difficulty. So the Manson Trojans get lucky there as Rusty McClellan has the injury, but not a serious injury. And it will be 34-28 now. Trojans trailing. Phelps to throw the football, has Dallas Clark in the right flat, evades a couple of tackles, gets back to the 30-yard line and maybe to the original line of scrimmage before he is hit there. So, my goodness, the Crescent Loggers come charging in. It looked as though they might drop Dallas for the loss on the pass completion, but he gets back out to the original line of scrimmage anyway, where it'll be 2nd down and 10 now. So a completed pass for 0 yards. That's a stat you don't see go in the book very often. 2:52 to play, 3rd period. Phelps the quarterback, has Jeffries out wide to the right side. Phelps dropping back to throw the football. Wants Jeffries, 40-yard line. It is short and incomplete. Frank Phelps has not missed short much today, but does on that one as Jeffries makes the dive for it. Can't come up with the football, and will go to a 3rd down and 10. So the Trojan offense beginning to sputter just a little bit. We'll see what they can come up with at 3rd and 10 from their own 32-yard line. I know that Coach Alexander would like at least a couple of more first downs to try to get some space between Crescent and that goal line. Trojans trailing here 34-28. Wide receiver Andy Finley out to the left side. Jeffries out to the right side. Finley now coming back in tight. Harrison motion right side. Phelps to throw the football. Looking for Jeffries over the middle, 40-yard line. Fumbles the football after the completion, and the Loggers have come up with it. The Trojan bandwagon is falling apart at the wheels here. No, they're going to say it is the Trojans' ball. A big break there for the Trojans as they dodged the bullet. I think it looked to everybody in the stands in the Tacoma Dome that Crescent had it. But they say that Jeffries was able to get back and get his hands on it. The fumble occurring after the whistle is what the officials are saying. All right, 4th and 4. Punt formation. Sackett for the Manson Trojans will be standing at his own 25-yard line. Takes the snap, gets the punt away. A good long punt that will come all the way down to the 30-yard line for Crescent. Richardson lets it go back to his own 15, snaps it out of the air, turns the corner at the 20, and is hauled down by Frank Phelps there. Frank Phelps hauls him down at about the 23-yard line. And Frank is going to be slow getting up here. So the Trojans have everything happening to them here. Rusty McClellan sustaining a bit of an injury earlier. Just a few plays ago, Rusty back in the game now. Frank Phelps down on the sideline after making the tackle here. And remember that Frank Phelps has that plate in his foot. He broke the leg prior to the football season. Once earlier this year, he got the plate stepped on. It's a very painful thing, but does not cause major injury. And right now, Frank Phelps getting up, walking away, barely limping. But there's a screw right at the surface of that plate. When someone steps on it or kicks it, it is exceedingly painful, but does not cause, again, the major injury. And Frank Phelps is up, and he is okay. And that is good news for the Manson Trojans. Lots of ball game left, 1:39 to play, 3rd period. And we have now Barnes, the quarterback for Crescent. 1st and 10, his own 23-yard line. Split backs behind him. Wants to give to the first man through, and that will be number 28, Gary McGarvey. McGarvey hits the middle and is stopped up right there. Mad Dog Harris celebrating back there, saying, yeah, we got him. Mike Harris, one of the guys in on the tackle at the 29-yard line, a gain of 1. These Trojans, Brian, have just had every opportunity in the world to fold and refuse to do it.
They do, Scott. They refuse to give Crescent anything.
Barnes, the quarterback, on 2nd and 9, still in his own territory at about his own 29-yard line. Pitch will come to the left side, and that will come out to the 30-yard line. Oh, just shy of the 30, out at the 26. My goodness, Todd Jeffries came from nowhere to come in on Gary McGarvey and haul him down after a gain of a couple of yards. It looked as though McGarvey was going to pick up a good 5 or 6 yards more on the play, but he gets only about 2 or 3, and it'll be a 3rd down situation now for Crescent, operating at their own 27-yard line.
He found out something that time that other foes found out in North Central Washington. Don't try to outrun Todd Jeffries.
3rd down, 6 for Crescent. Big play here for the Trojan defensive unit. Barnes, the quarterback, 2 running backs in behind him. Will pitch this time, wants to go with a halfback pass. Big pressure on, and they'll turn the corner at the 30 to give him all kinds of running room to the 40-yard line, up to the 50. Phelps after him at the 40, to the 30-yard line, hauled down out of bounds at the 20. A broken play, big gainer on the ground for the Crescent Loggers. Still trying to pick up the number of the ball carrier. I could use some help on that here, crew.
I think it looks to be Hallberg, number 16.
Gary Hallberg on the carry. Hallberg wanted to throw the halfback pass. His receivers were all covered, scrambles for it, and picks up a huge gainer of 60 yards or so. All the way down to the 22-yard line, at least, of the Manson Trojans. And Crescent just extremely explosive here. 5 seconds to play in the 3rd period. Crescent will play the last play of the 3rd period here. They have Barnes at quarterback. Split backs in behind him. Barnes takes the snap, gives through the center of the line to Hallberg again across the 20 and down to about the 16-yard line, or makes the 17, where he's hauled down. And the buzzer sounds, ending the 3rd quarter with a score: Crescent 34, the Trojans 28. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Come on, Trojans. Overall, I still feel a little better. Well, there are 12 minutes left. The Manson Trojans have come from behind before to tie the football game, and here they'll have to try to do it again. But right now, Crescent on the move inside the Trojan 20-yard line. Pitch right side, Hallberg. It's down to the 20, and is going to be knocked out of bounds there, shy of the 1st down. McGarvey, I should say, excuse me, on the carry for the Crescent Loggers. It's down inside the 20, down to about the 16-yard line, where he's knocked out of bounds. It'll be 3rd down and a long 3 to go for Crescent. Both teams have really shown that they are capable of scoring lots of touchdowns very, very fast in this football game. So we are by no means finished here. 3rd and a long 3 for Crescent at the Trojan 20-yard line. Barnes to throw the football as the man open at the corner. Knocked out of bounds at the 2-yard line as the Crescent Loggers continue to pick apart the Trojan defense in the passing game. That is what the Trojans were talking about at halftime. And Crescent has a 1st and goal at the 4-yard line of the Trojans with 11:50 to play in the football game. What an exciting game it has been. Barnes at quarterback, 1st and goal from the 4-yard line. Double running backs behind him again. This time will bring the play up the middle. Touchdown, Crescent. On the carry, number 28, Gary McGarvey kicks it in for the touchdown. Jimmy Lee, number 38. 36, Jimmy Lee goes in for the touchdown for Crescent. And Crescent is up again by 2 touchdowns at 40-28. And here again, a big 2-point conversion play for the Crescent Loggers. The Trojans must get something going on offense consistently here. They looked brilliant in the 2nd quarter and in the early 3rd period. When they get the ball back, they'll have to look brilliant again. Barnes to the right side, rolling, has the 2-point conversion. It's good. The Crescent Loggers go up by a 42-28 score, but lots of game left at 11:47 to play in the 4th period from the Tacoma Dome. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Crescent here to kick off, and it's Harris who takes it at the 10-yard line. Harris out to the 15, cutting to his right, wants the right sideline at the 25, turns the corner at the 30, down to the 32-yard line before he's hauled down. Well, we have had in the football game a couple of minor injuries here in this 3rd period for the Manson Trojans, and Sandy Miller on the sideline has more for us on the injury situation. Sandy?
Scott, I was just talking to the Methow Valley physical therapist, Connie Miller. She's down here and helping out with the Trojan effort. But her equivalent, hired by the Tacoma Dome folks, says that he did these games 2 years ago, and in 5 games they had no serious injuries. So that's really nice to know.
It certainly is, and thank you very much, Sandy. Phelps set to go, 1st and 10. Trojans trailing by 2 touchdowns. Wants the long bomb for Jeffries. He's open. Complete at the 20-yard line and out of bounds. Hold down at the 17. Whoa, the explosive Trojan offense comes alive, and the Trojans refuse to give up again. Rusty McClellan right down to talk to Todd Jeffries. Todd getting up a little bit slowly here, but he's okay. And the defender, number 28, Gary McGarvey. That one had to feel good for the Trojans because McGarvey has beaten them deep a couple of times. And Jeffries this time beats him. So it's 1st and 10, Trojans at the 18-yard line. They're down by a couple of touchdowns, but don't go anywhere yet. We've got a lot of football game to play in the Tacoma Dome.
50 yards on that pass, Scott.
The Trojans right back at it here. Phelps 1st and 10 at the 18-yard line. Takes the snap, rolls left side, wants McClellan in the end zone. Can he find him? No, Rusty's covered. Phelps tucks it in, goes inside the 15, down to the 13-yard line, a gain of at least 5. Wise move from Frank Phelps. Rusty McClellan down there waving his arm in the air, but had a defender right on his heels. And right now, Coach Tom Alexander puts up his hands and applauds. Good move, Frank. A 5-yard gain, 2nd and 5 for a first down at the 12 for the Trojans. 10:30 to play in the fourth period. I couldn't go through another 4 quarters of this.
No.
42-28 Crescent score, but the Trojans trying to come back again. They've tied it once. They'd like to do it one more time here. Phelps wants to throw the football. Big pressure, rolling to the right side, still under pressure, launches the pass. It is out of bounds, down at about the 2-yard line. The intended receiver was, I think, Dallas Clark. No, it was Rusty McClellan. There is one area down in that corner of the end zone we have a little difficulty seeing because the stands are between Ussens and Demons down there, but it was Rusty McClellan, the intended receiver, pass out of bounds.
Heaven's sake, Scott, anybody who can see that the first down yardage through the whole team like you've been doing the games I've watched, certainly see through stands.
3rd down and 5 now for the Trojans. They're at the 12-yard line of the Crescent Loggers. Split backs behind Phelps. The quarterback wants to throw it, gets the pass away. First down. Trojans at the 4-yard line. Jeffries on the catch. A great catch from Todd Jeffries as Frank had to throw the bullet. He was under pressure. Jeffries was in coverage. Put it in the perfect place. Jeffries dives for it and comes up with it. 1st and goal, Trojans at the 4-yard line.
I'm going to try to keep your wife from jumping out of the press box.
That may be difficult. Folks up here getting excited. 1st and goal, Manson Trojans. Jeffries wide to the right side. Harrison motion to the left side. Phelps, the quarterback, takes the snap. Hands, Clark, middle, touchdown, Trojans! The Manson Trojans come back again. And the score goes to a 42-32 margin here as the Manson Trojans put it in up the middle. Well, that time, the Trojans not bothered by the penalty flags, and they put on a very impressive offensive march sparked by the 50-yard pass play. When they're penalty-free, they're powerful as can be. Shotgun formation on the 2-point conversion attempt. It's important. Phelps throwing for the corner. Incomplete. Knocked away by one of the Crescent Loggers.
Looks to be Dale Richardson.
And Richardson got in to knock it away, but it is still a 42-34 margin here. So the Trojans only 8 points away from tying it all up. We'll come back with a Trojan kickoff in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Could you guys do me a favor? I have to go to the bathroom, so during the next commercial break, could you guys keep it there? Are you able to do that?
The next commercial break, you mean?
Yeah, just so I have like 5 minutes, but I know I can go without you guys.
You bet.
Okay.
He's going to go to the bathroom after he cues us, so... so keep it here if there's a timeout.
Hey, guys, watch it, because this is going on tape, you know.
Yeah, I know it's going on tape. That's good. I want this all on tape. That should clear our spot load, shouldn't it?
Yeah, you guys are all clear now.
We're cleared on spot load, so we'll let you go to the bathroom, Scott. See, we can be magnanimous.
Trojans here to kick it off, and on the return they'll go with a reverse and hand it off to Dan Richardson. He's going to be stopped though at his own 29-yard line as the man who picked it up was Gary McGarvey. McGarvey looked right at Richardson, said, I'm going to pitch it to you, then pulled it back in. Richardson ran toward him, then he handed it off, and the Trojans had it marked down pretty well. So not much of a return there, although the kick came up a bit short. And it will be 1st and 10 now for the Crescent Loggers, operating at their own 29-yard line. Andy Finley in on the tackle for the Manson Trojans. And Andy Finley is the only junior on this Manson Trojan football staff. Plays an outstanding game for them. Barnes, the quarterback, his club leading, but again by only 1 touchdown. Barnes dropping back to throw the football, gets big pressure from Tim Miller. Miller almost has him. He springs free. Now shovels it off at the 25-yard line. Out to the 30 and down at the 35 is Greg Hallberg. I don't know why I'm having trouble with Hallberg's name, but if anybody up here sees Hallberg, please say it out loud. Hallberg I'm having trouble remembering it. Hallberg gets out across the 30 and down to the 39-yard line, picks up about 6 yards on it. Tim Miller just very, very nearly had the sack on that play. But Barnes, a great job to shovel it off to Hallberg, number 16, and he picks up 6 yards on the play. 8:40 to play in the football game here, 42-34. Crescent, I'm sure, would like to not only get another score, but they would probably like also to eat up a little clock here. We'll see what their strategy is. Barnes has the double running backs behind him again. This time we'll go to McGarvey. McGarvey across the right side, caught in the backfield, springs free to the 40-yard line, continues to run, carrying a Trojan tackler to the 49. What an incredible run by McGarvey. Tim Miller had to catch him from behind and haul him down at the 49. And McGarvey was caught in the backfield. The Trojans let him run out of their grasp. He just is a tremendously powerful runner on that play. So instead of the big sack, they have the big gain. 1st and 10. Crescent at the 49-yard line, playing at their own here. Barnes again, the quarterback. Everybody in tight in the formation again. Double running backs behind him. Joe Barnes turns, hands the ball off. First man through the middle, but not much running room there as Todd Jeffries is able to haul him down. McGarvey was the man with the ball again, picks up a couple of yards on the play before Todd Jeffries is there to bring him down. Jamie Stenoyan, one of the guys in on the tackle for the Manson Trojans, and Jamie Stenoyan is a fellow who doesn't get a lot of press time, but certainly does a great job down in the line, according to Coach Tom Alexander.
Jamie Stenoyan is by far our best defensive lineman. He's very, very much physical. He's what we call a very physical ball player. He will really bruise or abuse the other team players.
Jamie Stenoyan on that last tackle. Here Barnes wants to throw the football. Big pressure. Penalty flags are down. Pass complete to McGarvey at the 30-yard line. Breaks away and then falls down there at the 30, but we have a penalty flag down in the offensive backfield, and we'll see who the call might go against here. Flip against the Crescent Loggers, and that is the first time in this half that a penalty flag has gone against Crescent. And for the Trojans, a big break there. They had the pass completion that took it all the way down to the 30-yard line, and instead will be a major mark-off here for Crescent. That's the kind of break the Trojans need here to try to get their hands back on that football. They're only 8 points away from the tie.
With 7 minutes left, Scott, 7:08 left, that kind of 15-yard penalty can change the momentum. That's what happened to the Trojans.
That's right. So they're faced now with a 2nd down and 20 situation from their own 34-yard line. Make it a 2nd and 25 yards to go. 2nd down at 25, Crescent, their own 34-yard line. Pitch to the right side. Hallberg will turn the corner at the 40-yard line to the 45, out near midfield before he's hauled out of bounds, and suddenly Hallberg is just getting free everywhere. You have to wonder if the Manson Trojans are beginning to tire just a little bit. They may not have quite the speed, playing with the heart, hitting hard, but they've had the little nicks and bruises injuries here that have seen players get up slowly on occasion through this second half of play, and they may be wearing down just a little bit.
Hallberg's gained 96 yards in this half, Scott. He's got over 100 for the game.
The big gain there gets them back to within reason at least. 3rd down and 9 now at midfield for the Crescent Loggers. Shotgun formation for Barnes, the quarterback. Barnes wants to throw. Gets some pressure from Tim Miller. Launches the pass long for Richardson. Knocked away. Beautiful pass defense by Frank Phelps. Phelps going up for the football. Knocks it away. A perfect hit. But the Loggers saying that should have been pass interference. You have the right to go up there and knock that ball away and make the hit at the time it arrives, and that's exactly what he did. Fine pass defense from Frank Phelps.
Exactly what Coach Tom Alexander was saying that the Manson Trojans had to do in pass defense in this half was to make sure that they stop the touchdown and don't look to intercept that ball, but stop those touchdowns and those long passes for the Crescent Loggers.
So, 4th down and 9, and the Loggers are in punt formation here, but you might watch for the fake. You never know. There's the snap. The punt will come away. It will be long and low. It forces Rusty McClellan back to the 10-yard line. Rusty will pick it up at the 2, and not a good move there, but Rusty barely able to evade the safety. McClellan had no idea that they were right on his heels, and as he went back, it probably should have let the ball go to the end zone. He snaps it out of the air, tries to make a turnaround, and as soon as he did, there was a defender there. Rusty did very well after that just to avoid the safety. Finally got the ball back to the 4-yard line. And it will be first in a long, long ways for the Manson Trojans there. But, of course, they do have their hands on the football. And 6:26 to play in the football game. The Trojans trailing by 8 at 42-34. Phelps, the quarterback for the Manson Trojans. We'll see what they call here, operating deep in their own territory. Phelps gives Dallas Clark through the middle. Nice hole for Dallas out to the 10-yard line. So the Trojans open up a 6-yarder there, go conservative, and made a good call to do that. As when you're down that deep, a safety puts it out of reach of a touchdown and a tie to go to the Kansas tiebreakers. So they want to make sure they don't have that happen to them. It'll be 2nd and 4 now from the 10-yard line for the Manson Trojans. Dallas Clark picks up 6 on that last carry. Power formation in the backfield to the right side. Phelps, the quarterback, wants to throw the football. Quick pass over the middle. Complete. Mike Harris out at the 16-yard line and goes forward for another yard or two. And I'm maybe mistaken, but I think that is the first time they have gone to Mike Harris with a pass play. And he was open for it over the middle. 1st and 10 Trojans.
Tom Alexander said they'd take what they could get, and they are taking it very well so far in this half. Looking for the short pass and the quick opener.
Phelps, the quarterback, on 1st down. At his own 18-yard line. One man out wide to the left side. Frank Phelps wants to throw, gets pressure, now finds the man open. Rusty McClellan at the 25-yard line. Had to come back for the ball and winds up being hit down at the 22. Unfortunate there for Rusty because he did have to come back for the ball and had a good head of steam up and could not get turned around. So they wind up with about a 5-yard gain on it. And Rusty McClellan continues to play with complete abandon. He has just been an outstanding player for the Manson Trojans all season long, and in particular in this football game. Phelps set to go, 2nd down, 5 at his own 23-yard line. Phelps hands off up the middle. Dallas Clark, 1st down. Trojans at the 30-yard line. Dallas Clark on the carry. And right now, the Trojans getting a pretty good surge down in the interior of that line as well, where guys like Jamie Stanoyan and Chip Sackett live. And Chip, while his name hasn't been on the air much today, has certainly done a good job of helping that offensive line to dominate. 4:38 to play in the ball game. The Trojans trailing 42-34, but moving with the football. 1st and 10 at their own 31-yard line. Phelps, the quarterback, split backs behind him. Dropping back to pass. Phelps going left side for Dallas Clark. Ball's incomplete, and Todd Jeffries was wide open at the 30-yard line. Had no one around him at all. I'm sure he'll be going back in and saying, hey, folks, I was here. Let's try it over on this side next time.
Jason Armstrong was there covering Dallas Clark. There was some bumping, but no flags on that play.
There have not been a lot of flags thrown against Crescent in this second half. Clock ticking. 4:25 when they start the play here after the pass incompletion. Phelps, the quarterback, wants to throw. Big rush. Rolls right side. Penalty flags down. Pass overthrown at the 40-yard line, intended for Rusty McClellan. And again, the call will go against who? Still looking to see what the officials might signal here. They're going to call another penalty against the Trojans. One has to say it is unusual. Very unusual when the flags go against one team. I'm not sure with the bumping that we both saw going on the pass incompletion why there would not have been a flag there but a holding call the next play. But at any rate, there was one. And the clock stops. That's the good part about penalties. It stops the clock. Right, guys? 4:19 to play. The Trojans suffer the holding penalty and will be faced here with 2nd down and long. A most unfortunate call, I think you would say.
This is the 5th penalty against Manson that Crescent has accepted this half, Scott, and it's been over for over 45 yards.
So the Trojans hurt very badly here by the penalties. And coaches Alexander and Teague not happy down on the sideline. 2nd down and long for the Manson Trojans. Phelps wanting to throw the football, has the power formation right side in the backfield. Gets big pressure, launches the pass intended for Jeffries downfield at the 37-yard line. Jeffries getting up angry, going to the officials saying, I was interfered with. The officials will not throw the flag. Todd Jeffries is not a kid who gets up angry. You don't see him going and complaining to officials very often. It was a close call. But the pass ball is incomplete. 3rd down now, and still 20 to go for the 1st down for the Trojans, and they're at their own 18-yard line. 4:12 to play in the ball game, and that's an eternity in this one. They trail in the game by a 42-34 score. Split backs. It's behind Phelps, the quarterback. Rusty McClellan off to the left side in the wide receiver position. Phelps wants to throw. Looking to the right side. Flare pattern. Jeffries complete. 15-yard line. Jeffries to the 30-yard line and will be hauled down at about the 30. Well shy by about 10 yards or 11 yards of the 1st down. They elect to go to the little screen pattern, and one of the Crescent ball players is going to be slow getting up here, and I believe that is number 28, Hallberg, or Gary McCarby, excuse me. And he now might be suffering from one of those Charlie horses. The players in the indoors, when they're used to playing in all that cold as they have all year long in the outdoors, tend to lose the body fluids quite a bit. And it gets warm and humid in here. They sweat a lot. And you get a lot of Charlie horses and that kind of thing. And that appears to be what's happening to McGarvey here.
Scott, if I could just interject, that was Frank Phelps' 20th completion in this game. He's 20 of 27 according to our record. And that's a 74% completion percentage. Not bad.
Not bad at all. He has had an outstanding football game, and really both of these teams have offensively. The story defensively for the Trojans has been that they have not been able to stop the crescent pass, and then here in this third and fourth period have been victimized by penalty flags. A big play here for the Trojans. 4th down and 11. Quarterback wants to throw. Has the man open. Rusty McClellan pitches. Clark. First down Trojans. What a play. The 49-yard line. They went to the pass at the left side to Rusty McClellan. Looked as though he'd be hauled right down, but he pitches to Dallas Clark. And the Trojans come with a razzle-dazzle and pull the first down out of the hat. My goodness, what a play. Tom Alexander said they hadn't added anything to their playbook for the playoffs, but that's one that we haven't seen for a long, long time. The Trojans are still alive. 1st and 10 at their own 49-yard line. Very dominant when the penalty flags don't hurt them. Phelps to throw the football. Big pressure. Caught from behind. Dumps it off. Complete. Mike Harris. And he'll have to scrape to hang on to the football at the 42-yard line. Mike Harris, a great play there as he had to sacrifice himself because Phelps under big pressure gets a pass off to him, a little shovel deal at the 45. Harris was creamed, and as he went down, the ball pops free. He reached out to his right side and stuffed it underneath his back so that they couldn't come up with it, and the Trojans come up with the football. But a loss after all of that of 5 yards on the pass completion. So it's 2nd and 15 for the Trojans, their own 44-yard line. Phelps, the quarterback, is going to get blindside pressure again. Screen pass right side. Rusty McClellan to the 45. McClellan to the 50 is slipped up there. A gain of about 6 or 7 on the play, but McClellan does get it out across the midfield stripe, just barely, in Logger territory.
Dale Richardson did a great job for the Crescent Loggers that time, knifing past one man and tripping up Rusty McClellan.
Timeout, Manson Trojans, 2:11 to play in the game. They trail by a 42-34 score. We'll be back in a moment.
Scott, are you there?
Yeah, I made it.
Okay. Oh, we did our best.
This is the big play, this next one right here. Yeah.
You want me to go down to the field? Or wait a minute, we're coming up.
(42-34). The Crescent Loggers in the lead. The Manson Trojans did a great job a few moments ago to pull one out of their hat. 4th down at their own 30-yard line. They break the 20-yarder. Then they suffer the loss and now are at 3rd down and 9 at midfield. The ball exactly astride the 50-yard line. 3rd down and 9. Still time. We have seen both teams score touchdowns in under a minute here. Jeffries, line to the right side. 2:11 to play in the game. Phelps from midfield at the quarterback position. Takes the snap. Phelps dropping back to pass. Wants Jeffries downfield. It is complete. First down Trojans at the 30-yard line. Jeffries to the 25 and out of bounds there. The Trojans are in business deep in the territory of the Crescent Loggers. No penalty flags are down, I am happy to say. Oh, did I show a little bias on that one?
No, that's all right. That's all right. There have been a lot of flags recently against Manson, but not that time as they're respotting the ball. That was a 26-yard pass on 3rd down. Big play, Scott.
Respotted out at the 29-yard line. 1st and 10 Trojans with 2:01 to play in the football game. We could go to a Kansas tiebreaker. They must convert the 2-point conversion. High backs behind Phelps, the quarterback. Wants to throw the football. Has the time dropping back. He has Jeffries open. Complete 10-yard line to Todd Jeffries. 1st and goal. Manson Trojans at the 10. We need to go down to the sideline when we can here and find out from Sandy Miller the exact ball spotting there and whether or not they would be able to get another first down. So, Sandy, if you're down in that area, maybe you can help us out in that regard. So hope that she gets down there soon. It looks from here as though they might be able to get a first down, but only by an inch or so. And right now, the Trojans with 1:44 to play in the game trailing by a 42-34 score. First and 10 at the 10-yard line. Phelps to throw the football. Flare pattern right side. Dallas Clark to the 5. Clark escapes one tackler. Takes it in. Touchdown Trojans. The Manson Trojans have scored with a minute and a half to play. And it is 42-40. The Trojan sideline comes alive. But that is not enough. That is not enough. Right now, Tom Alexander and Joe Teague conferring on the sidelines on what to do to get the two-point conversion. 42-40, the Trojans have never led in the ball game. They want to tie it for the second time here. Crescent calls timeout. Right now, Tom Alexander and Joe Teague conferring on the sidelines on what to do to get the two-point conversion. 42-40, the Trojans have never led in the ball game. They want to tie it for the second time here. Crescent calls timeout to make the Trojans think about it. We'll take one and be back in just a moment.
When do you want me to go down to the field? Not till it's over, okay. Okay.
The Manson Trojans, a valiant comeback attempt here. They have a minute and 30 seconds left on the clock. They're able to score the touchdown and get back to 42-40. It was tied earlier at 28-all. The Trojans had gone down by 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, came back to tie it in the third period, went down by 2 again, and have come back here and are within 2 points with a minute and 30 to play. The winner to the King Dome, the loser to go home. What the Trojans need to do is get the 2-point conversion, hold Crescent for a minute and a half, and that is no easy job, Brian, and then go for the Kansas tiebreaker.
Scott, they were down by 8 points. They get the ball on their 4-yard line, control the ball for 5 full minutes, a 4th down play, a 3rd down and 10 play. They score after a 96-yard drive. Let's see what they do now.
The play of the season for the Manson Trojans. Phelps, the quarterback, 2-point conversion attempt. McClellan wide to the left. High backs behind Phelps. Rolling right side. Tries to tuck it in on his own. He is not in. Crescent holds. They lead by 2. Frank Phelps, slow getting up, but out of disappointment, I am sure. They put the wide receiver to the left side, hoping to draw the defensive attention there, one would suppose, and rolled Frank Phelps to the right. He had no room to get in, gave it the best shot, and could not. But we still have football game left with 1:30 to play in the ball game. Crescent 42-40 over the Manson Trojans. We have not seen the Trojans have to go with a squib kick yet. This might be the time for them to come up with that one. But really, no matter what the outcome of this football game, you have 2 truly outstanding football teams and football programs from Crescent and Manson. And this is the kind of ball game where you're going to see a lot of disappointment on the team that doesn't win, but probably, Brian, in a day or two, a lot of pride that comes right back.
I would think so, Scott. I can't imagine the game in the King Bowl being more exciting than this, no matter who's in it.
They'll tee it up at the near side hash mark to us. Dallas Clark will be kicking off for the Manson Trojans. They have everybody loaded up at the far side of the field from him. They'll try the cross-field squib kick here with a minute 30 to play in the game. The kick is away. It will not go the 10 yards required. It goes out of bounds at about the Trojan 48-yard line. Penalty flag down. They'll have to do it again. Dallas Clark a little unhappy with himself right now. And right now the yardage penalty not making that much difference at all.
It still only has to go 10 yards, Scott.
Right.
So that penalty is the one that Manson was smart to take instead of trying to down the ball before it went out of bounds.
Absolutely.
Of course, Crescent can take the ball in that position if they think about it.
So, they do.
They will get the ball.
Okay, they do get the ball. The kick does not go 10 yards. The kick remains good. And right now, Crescent saying, yeah, we'll take that on the penalty. And Crescent has the ball, 1st and 10, at the Trojan 46-yard line. I'm not sure how many times out the Trojans have, but I'm sure they're going to want to be using them if they have any left. So the onside kick does not succeed, and we have a great ball game here, 42-40. If there were 2 seconds on the clock, you still wouldn't call this one over the way it has gone. Barnes, the quarterback for the Crescent Ball Club. Has a team set, line of scrimmage, split backs behind him. Barnes turns, pitches, first man through, big hole down to the 40-yard line, on down to the 36, near a first down yardage.
Gary Hallberg.
And you'd almost hope there that Hallberg would have gotten the first down, because that would have stopped the clock at least while they reset the chains. Now the Trojans forced to use out here. It will be 2nd down and 3 for Crescent when we come back with 1:19 to play in the game. 42-40 Crescent. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hallberg gained 105 yards in the second half. So what's that worth? That's worth.
What a football. What a football game.
You want me to go down even if it's a loss?
No.
Yes, that's right.
Was that a 60 or a 30?
30.
Okay, go ahead.
1:19 to play in the football game. It does not look good here for the Manson Trojans. They have a situation where they trail 42-40. With 1:19 left in the semifinals of the state championship playoff round. And Crescent coming out on a 2nd down and 3 at the Trojan 39-yard line. The Trojans must hold here. Barnes, the quarterback, split backs behind him again. Same formation we've seen all day. Long count at the line of scrimmage. Still counting, and still counting. Now takes it, gives through the center. It will be first down, Crescent. And that could be the ball game. Crescent cracks down to the Trojan 35-yard line to pick up the first down. And now the Trojans will call timeout again. So what the Trojans need here is to have the ball come back into their hands in some way. Coach Tom Alexander coming over and saying, no, Joe, this time you go out and confer with them. Tell them what you want them to do defensively. Joe Teague, for the Manson Trojans, their assistant coach. And over the years, Joe and Coach Tom Alexander have learned to know each other very well. They not only are coaches together, they do a lot of hunting together, a lot of socializing together. And as Coach Teague has handled the defense, this is what Coach Tom Alexander has said about his contributions to this Trojan football team.
Spent a lot of the out-of-school, out-of-football time together, and he's the type of guy. He's very relaxed and calm. He tries to relax me and calm me down.
So, Joe Teague has gone out to try to talk to the Trojan football team, see if he can calm them down a bit. 1st and 10, Crescent, 1:14 to play in the ball game. They lead by 2 points at 42-40. Barnes, the quarterback, at the 35-yard line of the Trojans. Again, going with a long count from the line of scrimmage. Again, hands off, first man through. They'll plow it through up the center. And I still didn't pick up the number of the ball carrier.
It's Hallberg again.
Okay, Hallberg on the carry. And the clock continues to tick with 1 minute to play in the game. The Trojans here, I don't believe, will be calling the timeout. Chip Sackett getting up just a little bit slowly, but he is okay. And the clock will continue to tick away here. 2nd down and 7 for Crescent. They lead in the game by 2 points at the 33-yard line of the Manson Trojans. Barnes, the quarterback. Long count at the line of scrimmage. Will take the snap at about 35 seconds on the clock. Still counting, and now just falls on the football. With 33 seconds to go, they will not be able to let it just run out here. I don't believe they'll be forced to get off one more play, but for all practical purposes, that will do it. And down on the sideline, Coach Tom Alexander standing with his hat off, his face down to the floor. A coach who has taken a football team to the playoffs 5 out of 6 years. This is as far as they've gotten to the semifinals. 9 seconds on the clock. They'll have to get off one more play here. Barnes, the quarterback, as his crowd counts down, takes the snap. That's it. The clock runs out. It's all over. But what a football game. The Crescent Loggers defeat the Manson Trojans 42-40. And Crescent will be playing in the King Dome on December the 6th. The dejected Coach Tom Alexander and Coach Joe Teague moving across the sidelines to chat with the Crescent coaching staff as their celebration gets going down on the field. We're hoping that Sandy Miller will be able to find Coach Tom Alexander or Joe Teague or someone and chat with them when they have an opportunity to complete their congratulation to the Crescent Ball Club. And what a game it has been. As the Manson Trojans came out in the football game, we're down very early by 2 complete touchdowns. As you hear now, the Class B 11-man teams coming out to take the field. The Trojans were down by 2 touchdowns early, and then managed to make the comeback, tied it up in the 3rd period, and finally came down after tying it up in the 3rd period to go down again by 2 touchdowns, and then came back again. But were unable to tie it up, and they go down to defeat at the hands of the Crescent Ball Club, the #1 ranked team in the state, and are defeated by Crescent by a score of 42-40. Now, right now, I don't think we're going to be able to get to Coach Tom Alexander and Joe Teague as their players mobbed around them and chatting with them a little bit. So I don't think we'll have that opportunity at this point. We'll take one more commercial break here, and we'll come back in 60 seconds with a good look at the ball game in final form for you. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Yeah. Could I get you to take some of this stuff with you?
I have no room. I'm in a little tiny football.
Oh, I thought you were with your van. Okay.
Do you want the scoring? Do you just want to wrap it up?
Now let's wrap it up. Well, let me finish the broadcast, and then we'll start getting out of here. There you go. 1, 2. Okay, go. The Manson Trojans were defeated on Thanksgiving Day in the Tacoma Dome, but it was not a defeat that one can walk away with any shame in at all. It was a 42-40 score. The Trojans never able to get the lead in the football game. They went down by 2 touchdowns very, very early in the game, came back with answering scores, started trading touchdowns. Looked in the early third period as though they would really dominate the second half. They got to a 22-all tie, or 28-all tie, and then in that third quarter, in something like 5 out of 6 plays, the Trojans had penalty flags thrown against them. One of those was not taken by their opponent because it wasn't advantageous to them, but the Trojans were hurt by penalties, and they were never able to really come back from that. They wound up down by 2 touchdowns again, then came back one more time, furiously, scoring with about a minute and a half to play in the football game to get it to that 42-40 margin. They put Frank Phelps out there to try to take the ball in, and could not come up with a 2-point conversion, and that spelled the defeat for the Manson Trojans to wind up their season with the trophy as they walk out of here after a brief ceremony down on the sideline to make the Final Four. Ryan, is a very, very big accomplishment. The Trojans have to be very proud of that.
They should, Scott. The thing that sticks in my mind, they take over with 6.5 minutes left on their own 4-yard line. They're down by 8 points. They drive 96 yards. That was a stunning drive, an impressive drive. The fact that they couldn't score those last 2 points takes nothing away from the fine game that the Trojans played today.
Joe Barnes of the Crescent Loggers, an outstanding passer today as he threw for several touchdowns, and the Trojans' biggest problem today came in the area of pass defense. It's what they worked on and talked about in the second half at halftime. Made some improvements in that second half, but still were stung on the pass a couple of times, and that was enough for Crescent, coupled with the Trojans' penalty problems in the third period, to come up with a 2-point victory, and that's about what difference there is between these two teams. Brian, I think it's about 2 points.
That's true, Scott. They shut down very well the passing attack of the Crescent team, and Gary Hallberg deserves a tip of the hat from us because he gained about 110 yards in the second half rushing the ball. They adjusted at halftime, too. 2 points. I don't know what to say. I'm proud just to have watched the thing. I'm stunned.
It has been a great experience for the Trojan football team. They lost to an excellent football team. They themselves are an excellent football team and could very easily represent any league, any community very well in the Kingdom on December 6th. But they were 2 points shy of it, and that is a fact of the matter. So they will not, at least not this year. Coach Tom Alexander all year long has been extremely cooperative with us, and we want to publicly thank him for that. We want to thank also the folks who have gone the extra miles, and many extra miles, in sponsoring our broadcast of this Tacoma Dome appearance for the Manson Trojans. It has been a very special moment in the lives of that young football team, and for those who have helped us to give them the recognition that they deserve, our thanks go along to you. Once again, the final score from the Tacoma Dome, Crescent 42, the Manson Trojans 40, in an outstanding and absolutely great, a wonderfully exciting semifinal football game that the Trojans came up 2 points shy in. Scott Brondage, you want to say thanks to Chris Holt, to Sandy Miller, to Bonnie Brondage, and Brian Borostik on the crew here, and to Scott Rusk, who's been putting up with us back in Chelan at the radio station. Thank you to you all. It's been a wonderful football season, and we look forward to basketball coming up on Radio Lake Chelan. Scott Brondage saying so long from the Tacoma Dome.